Hello, 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 hello. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all have had a absolutely fantastic day today because you know what? I have. I've had a lovely day today. Today has been totally fine. I went to work. There was almost nobody there. Actually, no, correction. Today has sucked. I had, y'all saw it. I had like 26 calls this morning. It was awful. But it's better now that you're all here. So hello, 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 hello. First off, let me give a thank you to Kiwi Drawn for being first. Thank you, Keeper, for being second. Aura, thank you for being third. And I'm so proud of all of you. You learned how to count. It's impressive. I wasn't sure we'd ever get there, but hey, you all have learned. Let me go through the list of everybody who's here currently. Hi, Moxie. Hi, Kiwi. Hi, Mossdorf. Hi, Aura. Hello, Aura again. Hello, Kallist. How you doing? How you doing? Hi, Echo. Moxie. Hello, hello. Hello, Baby Ash. Hello, Vala. I guess her name's Vala, I'm assuming. I'm going to call you Vala anyways. Let's see. Hello, Faith. Lovely to see you. Hi, Vanya. Hi, Ray. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, Moss again. Scrolling. Hello, Venus. Good to see you. Mwah. Hi, Allie. Hi. Did you change your name color, or is it just on my end that you're orange now? I could have sworn you're green this morning. No, my mouse. Did my mouse just 1 second, my mouse totally didn't just die. Give me one second. Where'd it go? Where's the fucking chart? It's here somewhere. Stop being dead. Hi, I'm back. Ish. There we go. Okay, where were we? Where were we? Hi, Desi. Good to see you. Good. Hi, Roxy. Already said hi to Kallist, Roxy, Vanya. You're working on a campaign? Oh, I hope the campaign goes well. Does G need to check his code? Aw, thank you, Desi. I appreciate the compliments. You can't expect Desi to pay me all the time just to read fanfics, Vanya. Yeah. Give Desi some time to recover. Gene, try not to die challenge. Useless. Did you just call me useless? Hi, Echo Rose. Lovely to see you, Nova. Hello, Big Burb Eater. It's been a little bit. How you doing? Have you been eating Big Burbs? She said something in call. Okay, give me a shot. Let Desi keep their own money. I'm happy to have money, and I'm happy to have other people's money. But let Desi keep their money. Somebody else can pay. There's been no additional additions recently. All right, Nova, you have a good one. I don't know. Don't give me your... Keep your money, chat. Eventually. Oh, that's fair. Eventually, chat. Eventually, we're going to do a whole fundraiser for a new model. Save your money. Keep it saved. Am I snacking? A little bit. I might be eating some candy. Don't judge me for eating candy. It's very tasty, though. It has, so I got this Haichu taffy that's sweet and sour, and it's delicious, and I'm loving it, and it's making me very happy. Let me get a piece. Fine, you can have one of the pieces. I have a watermelon, I have lemon, and I have grapefruit. Which would you like? Don't burn down. Don't, Desi. Desi, sweetie, honey, no. Save your money. Do 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 bum 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 bum. Uh um the huh. Desi, is that number correct? Am I? Is that number? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you 100% sure? I need confirmation before I. I mean, what are you doing? Are we doing $20 a chapter? Is that what the plan was so far? Was it $20 a chapter? Okay. Let me do some math real quick. That would be so 1 chapter, 2 chapters, 3, 4. Oh yeah, 5 chapters. That'd be 5 chapters. Carlos, thank you for the sub. Thank you. So yeah, 5 chapters. There was a 1, a 0, and a 0. A 1, a 0. Allie, you're bad at math. Yes, 5 times 2. That is 120. Desi, that is insane, Desi. Desi, thank you. I mean, okay. So, Chad, I hate to say this, and there's a reason why we're waiting for a 50 average viewer stream, like average, before we're gonna do, and I need to have sponsorship stuff ready before we try to do the model push. Because do you want to take a quick guess how much it's going to cost for me to get everything, including the model from the artist I want, the VR equipment that I'm going to need, the additional branding and everything else that I will need to make everything complete all at once? It's not cheap. 7 to 10K, yeah. Now, understand, I'm not expecting to raise that all at once. I'm expecting to take a long time to raise it. I'm going to try my hardest to get to... Oh, God, no. Don't tell me I have to read it. Is it done already? Don't tell me it's done. It is done. Okay. I don't have a choice in this, do I? I have to read this now. There's no delay in this. Okay. Chat, do we have a good song for this? Do we have a good song for this one? Vanya, I should have you start doing song recommendations for these beforehand. No. Hear me out. Yes, thank you. I appreciate the Desi. I will do so much. Desi, I will, if there's ever anything you want me to collab on, or if there's any work. Hi, Moreau. You're playing Siege and you didn't invite me. How dare you? If there's anything you ever want me to collab in, and you want me to hang out, or you want me to do anything, Desi, you have given me so much. Just ask, okay? I will happily join a collab or do whatever. You have fantastic content, and I really I really appreciate it, okay? Did you say maid cafe ambiance? What do you mean maid cafe ambiance? It depends. Is it like, it's not the Cheetos one, is it? Like, spicy mac and cheese should be fine as long as it's not like a Cheetos one or something that's heavily artificially flavored. I have seen that. All right, chat, we're going to wait until the people outside of my apartment quit mowing the lawn. That way we can actually use this content a little bit. Yeah, let me wait for them to move a little bit. It's wrong, but I want you tonight. Fear and delight, all the way through the night, with a little daring do, I fall in love with you. Okay, Maid Cafe ambiance. Is that a thing? Hey! We're 58% of completing our goal. I don't know what our goal is, but we're 50% away of completing our sub goal. Yay! Okay. Maid Cafe ambiance, Japan. Let's go. This is just visiting a maid cafe. Chad, do you want to visit a maid cafe? No, we have plans for today. We can visit a maid cafe on another day. Okay, chat? Japan cafe, light music background. There we go. This'll do. This do? Okay. Okay. Change the stream title. Change the stream title. Chat, but before you start reading, what's up, Desi? Oh, Desi. Sweet, darling Desi. You know I appreciate you so very, very much. And you are such an incredible patron of the arts. I mean, if anybody deserves love and affection and praise and a reminder of how incredible they are, it's most definitely you, Desi. You do such great things, and you have a lovely, lovely voice. Your streams are very entertaining, and you're going to do great things. You're going to do very, very great things. I believe in you, Desi, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for funding the arts, and for being just as amazing and adorable and kind and sweet and just gorgeous as you are. Thank you. Mwah. Gotta put serious stuff aside now. I gotta draw maids. Pomo, no! I don't hate you, Pomo. Why would I hate you? Hi, Pomo. I don't hate you. Pomo, what did you say? What did I miss? Jean? Yes, Pomo. Pomo made emotes. Did he see the art? I did see the art. Sorry, I don't hate you, Pomo. Okay, Pomo, I said hi when you came in. What do you mean? I said hi to you when you came in, Pomo. I always greet you at the door. Fight me. Fight me. Okay. Chat, you might notice that the stream has a new title. Okay, can I open this? Yes, continue. Wait. Okay. Chat. I just gotta put up the Twitch chat overlay so I can actually see you all while I read this. Give me 1 second here. Be patient for me. If we get raided or followed or anything off of this, I will. Yeah, I've never been on AO3 before. Are we ready? Next chapter. Chapter 2. Chapter 3. We're on chapter... What are we on? Chapter... Are we on chapter... Are we on chapter 3? No. Next chapter. Chapter 4 is not up. Chapter 4 is not on here, Vanya. Oh, wait. Yes, continue. Oh, there's new tags apparently, so I had to click yes again. They're like, are you sure you want to read this? Oh, God, the stupid fucking... Are you sure you want to read this one, Gene? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to read this? Okay. Are you ready? Are you all ready? Did you all decide that this is what you wanted? 100% certain that this is what you want? Okay. Don't talk about joining. Chapter 4. Against better judgment, Gene lets his friends drag him into a makeshift plan to potentially clear part of a misunderstanding, and it turns out horrible, per usual. Notes. I love that the moment I start writing this chapter, I tune into stream and all of chat was already talking about caffeine and energy drink. This chapter literally comes to me like a ghost. A ghost? That's a fun idea, ain't it? Okay, chat, you stink. May whatever god or demon that decided to attach itself to him... attach itself to him the more this damn week passed on by, Leo in all his glory had managed to effortlessly drag Gene into any situation that brought more attention onto him, loudly exclaiming to the press... Oh, chat, you're covering up the text. Stop doing that. Can you stop covering? So I can... Okay, good. Appreciate you. Mwah. Leo in all his glory had managed to effortlessly drag Gene into any situation that had brought more attention onto him, loudly exclaiming to Professor Sheldrake he had the answers for the whiteboard at least 6 times a day, proudly dragging him around the corridors between class changes and the cafeteria every fucking lunch break. Oh god, not the voice... Ah, mein sweet little Rotkopf, Leo cooed while beginning to munch on cooled pizza slice where the cheese had very visually congealed into a skin-like layer. Never have I met such a beautiful, friendly accomplice. I must thank you again for greeting me with such open arms, Häschen. Gene was ready to basically pounce and shut the larger boy's mouth with the act of piercing his dumb ribs lightly with his own elbow, only to immediately freeze up as the familiar sugary sweet scent wafted through the air around them almost violently, making him glance around frantically while his dog ears flattened behind him in primal fear. What do you mean primal fear? He's here. Leo raised his brow, glancing around slowly until his own gaze landed on the target. Coffee, cakey, walking through the cafeteria hall entrance with another similarly sugary palated boy, as the both of them were deep in conversation about something that made the coffee-colored brother giggle about something in a way that made them both of them audibly wince in discomfort. Ah, yes. The hungry albino mouse, your favorite. Leo voice. Do y'all want me to do the voice? Really? You want me to have that voice all the time? Great. Okay. Ah, fuck. Leo huffed out between hearty chews, arms slinging around Gene's shoulder almost possessively. You set the standard, while his eyes tracked the predator with precision of a security camera. Wait. Want me to say something, brother? Does Leo see me as a bro? Wants me to say something, brother. Gene felt himself shiver at the idea, hunching over as his forehead began to rest against the cafeteria table, not even caring about the uncomfortable, slightly sticky Hey, chat. I just need to, confirm something real quick, because I think my brain died for, 5 seconds. Did y'all hear me read possessively while his eyes tracked the predator? Did you all hear that? Did I actually vocally say that? I don't know if I actually spoke during that part, or if I just read it silently. I did read it. Okay. There was a whole moment here where my brain was just I think trying to kill itself, and has thrown itself into a well somewhere. So I heard not a single word I said. I left my body, and the body kept acting on a pure defensive instinct. Okay, I'm ready. Gene felt himself shiver at the idea, hunching over as his forehead began to rest against the cafeteria table, not even caring about the uncomfortable slightly sticky. I keep getting caught at the same spot. Are you still there, chat? Are we still streaming? You're blacking the trauma as it's... Okay, good. Things got quiet. I am actually enjoying this, though. I mean, in a horrifying way, I am enjoying this. Not even caring about uncomfortable, slightly sticky surface. Now against his well-maintained skin. Please, don't. he muttered, closing his arms around his own abdomen to shield himself from something. Probably just something. Wait, probably just Keiki-san's existence itself, making him more than just queasy. I think I'd rather starve for the next week than let him talk to me again. He expected some sort of retort or another joke at his expense, but Leo was oddly quiet for how much he loved to talk his ear off. Gene rolled his head to the side, eyeing his friend from underneath his hair-obscured face, only to see the tall boy staring at Keiki in complete focus, trying to make out whatever it was that was being discussed in the distance, until a dangerously mischievous smirk quirked his lips. Rotkopf, darling. Leo chuckled up before slightly manhandling him a bit, manhandling him to sit up straight and smiling suspiciously, already making him nervous. You know how you said you would never really talk to the dear Mousy? Yeah? Gene winced out slowly, already regretting whatever the hell this was going to turn into. Why? Well, I have an idea. Leo smoothed out with his thick accent, grinning out a wider, teethier smile. Why the hell did he allow himself to get dragged along to this shit, too? Gene stood in front of the bathroom mirrors after stepping out from the stall behind him, holding his normal clothes in his arm as he stared blankly at the reflection of his new outfit. A maid outfit! A fucking maid outfit! What do you mean a maid outfit? Why is this the first... Hello, I have a plan for you. Here's the plan. Put on a fucking maid outfit! No! Out of all things, fuck my life. I'm not putting on the maid outfit, chat. There's nothing you can do to make me do it. There's nothing you can do to make me put on the maid outfit. He snapped back to reality. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. He snapped back to reality the moment two students from the year below whistled at him, snickering before quickly departing the bathrooms. As Gene's tail flattened down towards the floor limply and he growled out in embarrassment instinctively, he haphazardly shoved his clothes, haphazardly, shoved his clothes into his backpack, muttering curses to himself before slowly stepping out into the hallway while berating himself in his head to try willing away the heat on his neck and cheeks. Leo stared at him up and down, whistling in approval as he shot him another wink that made him heat up even more. Looking good, cutie. He smoothed out deeply while tugging him close as both of them walked down towards a specific classroom, only to feel Leo smack his ass hard, yelping in response as he stumbled into the room. Have fun, Hunshin. What? Okay. What? Okay. How is... Gene slowly looked up, eye twitching, as in front of him was the Maid Cafe Club. Oh, okay, at least this makes sense. Okay, no, the plot justifies it. The plot justifies it. I get it now. A handful of other students prancing around the room in a similarly clad maid attire as they served desserts and store-brand tea to normal school outfit schoolmates, chattering to each other in a soft and flowy atmosphere that for some reason made his throat burn up in. They dragged another one in. A high-pitched voice drawled in as judgmental footsteps. Wait, drawled? Wait, drawled? No, but high-pitched. It can't be a drawl. In as judgmental footsteps approaching him from a shorter, much more effeminate boy, wearing peachy pink and extra frilly version of the dress, with slightly unkept short blonde hair. So, what's your story? Another bet lost or something? No, Gene slowly answered as he finally stood up taller, stretching out his hunched back with a couple of deep cracks that made him sound out something close to moans. Hi, Lynx! Making the boy in front of him wince and blush slightly. The noise or the slightly bigger height difference, he couldn't tell. Who's saying this? Exchange kids are going, okay. Oh, okay. Exchange kid said Kofi Keki's brother frequents the club and said I should reach out to him. Yeah, you're not getting anything done today, the smaller boy chirped in amusement as Jean's face drained of color almost instantly. Danny doesn't come around on Fridays. Oh, well, since you're here now, though. He leaned over to grab an extra serving tray that was leaning against the front wall, shoving it into his arm suddenly. Might as well make yourself useful for once, twerp. What do you mean I'm getting into it? I'm reading a script that I was paid for. There is $100 that was given to me, chat. I'm gonna do this well, okay? Don't redeem. Let's redeem. God damn it, how am I gonna do this? Oh God, you're putting another level of stress on this now. He's the toxic twink. Alright. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, chat. I can't go up like this. I mean, I guess I could. Yeah, no, this'll work, I suppose. And then can I do Alright, and can I do more of a... Yeah, that's exactly how I could... Alright, I guess I can do it. I'll figure it out. It'll work. Shit. Okay, where am I? Gene stood there. Oh, wait, there we go. Gene stood there, utterly lost in dread as he watched the snide quickly wash off the boy's face the moment a customer called them over. Skipping over gleefully as if it were out of a children's book. Great. Now he had to play pretend maid for the next half an hour. All thanks to Leo's great idea. Gene groaned audibly the moment he heard his name called from another table on the opposite side of the class. The boys in the bathroom, in their more complete group. Kill me now. Gene slumped over a desk the moment the last group finally left, leaving him and the rest of the mock maze to finally clean up before the final period of class commenced. In, 10 minutes. That included getting changed out of... Good job, everybody. Everyone. A feminine voice cut through the air as a blue pigtail student walked in with an innocent smile that didn't meet the sadistic shadow in her eyes. I trust you all ran the club perfectly without me today. Yes, ma'am, the majority of the other students gleefully answered, bowing towards her before returning to cleaning up the room. The student then finally noticed Gene, pausing for a moment before sounding out a loud laugh. No fucking way. Is that you, Gene? I didn't think you'd quietly join my club out of any of the other choices. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well... Nah, that's fine. 1 second. How much time do we have on this? Oh, pronouns. Pink, ele, he, they. Chat, what pronouns do you use? Okay. Wait, Pinky's the Maid Club president? Ain't no way Pinky's the Maid Club president. What the heck? Why? Alright. Gene slumped over the desk. We already read that. It wasn't my idea. Oh, here we are. Alright, you ready? It wasn't my idea. Gene snapped softly while tugging the stupid apron off the dress, grounding lowly in the back of his throat. Was looking for one of the regular customers you had, and I guess I just so happened to pick a bad day. Well, you know what that means, right? She teased with a cocky smile. Looks like you have to come back at the start of next week. Hope they come around next time. Tough luck, dog. I'm not wearing the maid dress. How much to get included in one of the scripts? How much to get included in one of the scripts? Vanya, you press that shit. You press it, Vanya. No, not free. Money. God damn it, Bone. Sorry, give me a sec. All right. She practically hopped away to check on other necessities and the rest of the club's members, leaving him standing there with another set of eyes burning at the back of his head, slowly turning around to meet with the smaller boy's death glare. "You," he snapped, stepping forward until they were as close to being face-to-face as possible, thanks to the height difference. "How fucking dare you think that you can overshadow me?" What? Gene blurted out as he raised his arms out in defense, darting around to see the other startled and curious stares on both of them now. I wasn't trying to do anything, I promise. It's just like I told you earlier. Yeah, whatever. The shorter one snapped back, gritting his teeth. You think you're so clever, trying to one-up me. I saw the way our customers were eyeing you down like fresh meat, ignoring me, the best seller of the club, like I was never anything. Which other one do you highlighted? No, sorry. I'm sorry. Let me go back and read some things for you. Give me a second. Where's the highlighted message? How much to get Gene to wear? How much to get Gene to wear? Like the model or IRL? Because IRL's not happening until we hit 50. Until we hit the partnered. IRL's not happening until partner, and once I hit partner, then it's going to cost you money. The model, if you can find me a maid dress and find a way to make it look good on this model, I don't know, just buy me the dress. No, I changed my mind. I'll figure out something for it. We'll make it an unlock or something. I changed my mind. We'll figure it out. Shush. You can't hold me to that. Where are we? Why am I doing something still? Can I quit it yet? Not yet. All right. Not happening. All right, so, it's not too late, chat. You forget. Chat, here I am a god. Where were we? Morgan, one of the other club members whispered from the back. That's how everyone else acts when a new member joins on the first day. Morgan snapped his head, pointing at the other student sharply. No, this is different. Lucky over here had more customers than any of us on our first days. You all saw how everybody was eyeing him up and down. Don't fucking lie. Even the ladies were somewhat impressed. Were they? He couldn't tell if there actually was anything else underneath their non-stop giggles and the comments of how cute he looked for once outside of his usual attire. Morgan, enough. The blue-haired girl chirped as she was heading out the classroom doors, and with a tired look, leave him be. Man, no need to get so damn jealous. People are starting to get tired of your twink ass. All right, we can drop that. Morgan stood there, flabbergasted beyond comprehension, as the other members snickered in response, and also slowly started to leave one by one. Gene tried to quietly follow behind, yet was still forced to stay the moment Morgan grabbed his arm to pull him back, making him almost tumble as he practically pulled down. "You!" Morgan sneered lowly while his eyes were practically unfocused as they scanned each small detail of Gene's face, swallowing before leaning in to bring their faces up to each other, a bit too close for comfort. "Need to come back." What? Gene breathed out, blinking non-stop while getting somewhat warm-faced around from the close proximity. But weren't you just mad at me?" "You need to stay. You hear me?" Morgan spat softly, eyes twitching as a traitorous pink tinted in his face as well. "Keep making this shitty place interesting for once. It makes a difference to see another pretty face around here." A second passed before Morgan squeaked and followed up with practically a yell. As competition, of course. I need you around so I can compare myself to a worthy opponent. Yes, exactly." Oh my god, why is he so dry? Gene's face flattened, not fully believing him, and he immediately noticed the way Morgan realized that his bluff was called, making the shorter boy wince before looking away shyly. Fine, it's 'cause you're really attractive or something." Yeah, Gene replied without an ounce of emotional energy. Yeah, you don't do that stupid forced, I don't know, anime voice that the others do." "You mean the one you also do, right?" Morgan's face heated up, shoving Gene away finally before stomping off, finally letting the dog boy escape back to the bathroom so to quickly change out of his normal attire. Moments later, he quickly bolted back to 3C, seeing most of the class already seated, as well as Leo, who was apparently waiting for him with an easy smile. "Ah, there's my favorite one," he called out as Gene sat down behind him, leaning back to the side to face his friend. "So, how's it go? Managed to get a good word in?" He wasn't there today. Apparently you heard his schedule wrong," Gene spat out, groaning as he heard the distant voice of Audrey Hanamura coming into class from the back entrance, already gossiping about Gene joining the Maid Cafe Club. "And now you've made me the top talk of the school again." What happened? What did we miss? Who did what? Who did what? Oh, shout out Vanya. Yep. Leo let out a cute chuckle, reaching out to pat Gene's shoulder in a soft apology. There, it's all good. It'll blow over like nothing happened. Trust. Plus, he reached out into his desk drawer, pulling out what seemed to be a fresh Polaroid. Gene in his cheap maid dress serving a table of customers from outside the club room. Door window. "Looks like I have another secret fan of yours, yeah? And I guess they knew who referred you to your new calling, friend." Gene's body drained of color and warmth. Leo practically celebrated, uncaring of his friend's inner predicament. "They also caught your cute side, too." Okay. Jesus. You know what? Somebody draw that Polaroid. But if any of you are interested in reading this yourself, here it is. We're going to drop the link here. How long was that, chat? How long did that take? So long. We were supposed to only be doing 30 minutes of just chatting, chat. And how long have we been here? How long have I been here? 45 minutes. To be fair, I probably could have read that in 15 minutes. But okay, well. Welcome back, Nova. We just finished reading the fanfic. It was a lot of fun. Thank you again, Desi, for giving me the money. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Vanya, for spending so much time and effort in writing that. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're lovely and kind and sweet. And everybody else, thank you all for being here and enjoying that experience. I guess. Okay. We're going to be doing... Oh, shit. Give me a second. So there is going to be a Red Dead crowd control. That's going to be popping up soon. I also realized that a network error occurred. What do you mean a network error occurred? Okay. I need to do something real quick. I just realized something, chat. Okay, how much does it come up? How much is it? How much do I have to pay for this? 1 second. Get pro. Okay. Chat, we're about to pay $20 for this. So that y'all can have more effects here. Give me a second. Hopefully this is worth it. Na 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 na. Oh, it's fine. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay. Okay, come on. Hey, fuck off. Other. Damn it. I don't know. I don't care. Fucking. There we go. Okay. I need to do this real quick, chat. I'm sorry. I had not thought about this until now. Unfortunately, we're going to do something here. Okay. All right, chat. I'm going to give you all some things to use points on. Now, we're going to add fight. Oh, no. Okay. Never mind. We're not going to do this. I will do this later. For now, we're going to just use the overlay. But I will, next time we stream, next time I play this, which we'll play this again probably this week, there will be channel rewards that you can use to crowd control. But right now, it's going to be only the points that you can get in the overlay, okay? Because otherwise, I would have to go through, and I'd have to set 50, or I have to at least set 20 things, and I'd have to determine the prices, and I'm not giving it to you for 1 point, everything. Okay? So right now, we'll just use the built-in stuff. There's going to be an overlay on the stream that'll let you fuck with my game. But I'll set it up later, okay? Fight for me, guys. I'm on mobile. I'll always fight for you. Oh, wait, different kind of fighting. Never mind. Are we ready? Oh, no, Chad, I failed. Palm Molly for the resub. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, you ready? Are you ready? Oh, shit. I can actually make this easier for you, chat. Give me a second. Don't Sayora, you Sayora. Hi, Sayora. Sour. How are you doing? Welcome. You missed me reading a fanfic. How does that feel? How does it feel to know that you've missed me reading a fanfic? I haven't even started the game yet. I hate you so bad. The last thing you said to me was die, by the way. The last thing you said to me was die. So, you know, fair enough. Okay, and we're going to see if it feels good, not going to lie. Well, you know. I'll edit down the fanfic and send it directly to you. Oh, you regularly send death threats to me. Yeah, obviously. I mean, what else would you do? Not send me death threats? Crazy. I can't imagine what it'd be like to not get death threats from you. Okay. Downloads. Crowd control. Is this it? Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay, 1 second, chat. I'm almost there. Oh, crap. Why is this so complicated, chat? Never mind. I give up. Okay, there's an overlay, chat. You can fuck with my game. I believe in you. Are you ready? Are you ready, chat? Are you ready, chat? Are you ready, lovelies? This is just to test it out. I'm a girl kisser. We all know this. We all know this. Chat, do you know this? They Yuri bait. We all right, here we go. Can you all hear the game, by the way? Let's do this. America was becoming a land of laws. You know, there's going to be one day people aren't going to be able to read this anymore because it's in cursive. It's insane. Think about laws. But how are you doing, Saura? A few gangs still roam, but they were being hunted down and destroyed. Moxie, sweetie, come on. Come on, Moxie. Gotta do better than that. Learn to read cursive, it ain't hard. I'm apparently very, very death threatable. I'm very death threatable. Still waking up? I've been awake for 2 hours already. Did you go back to sleep? Oh no, you woke up at like 2:45. Never mind. Wait, are you telling me that you wake up at 2 in the afternoon and then you stream at 1 in the morning? Oh, thank you for the follow.
We'll have to stop someplace. Okay, Arthur's out looking. I sent him up ahead. If we don't stop soon, we'll all be dying.
Okay, yeah, but I thought this was a special situation. But thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Mwah.
Just hoping the law got as lost as we did. There. Arthur. Any luck?
Are you gonna put me in a kill?
We can get some shelter. Let Davy rest while he, you know, an old mining town. Abandoned. It ain't
Wow.
far. Come on. Come on! Yeah!
Wow. Hi, filthy fangirl. How you doing, sweetie? Mwah. Welcome. Badass whooping. Yeah. Are you still being as a degenerate as you always are? Look, in my defense, I didn't learn how to read until 3rd grade, and I fucking hated it. I only started like reading recently. Well, I'm proud of you for reading, okay? I don't hate anybody. Yes, of course, you filthy.
Bring him in here.
Chat, $50, and I do the Southern voice this entire stream. $50, and I do the Southern voice this entire stream. I would never degen. Really, Fifi. Really, Fifi. I only read smut. It's something, it counts. I need someone's opinion. What would you do if your niece and nephew say, "Can you get me a Labubu?" and then say it's just $70? You don't.
Davy's dead.
All right, well, we'll at least start with it. We'll start with this part, all right?
What are we gonna do? We need supplies.
Well, first of all, you're gonna stay here, and you were gonna get yourself warm.
I bought myself a $95. You bought what?
Mike is scouting out ahead.
What do you mean you bought? Ban them. Time them out. Time them out. 3 hours.
Yes,
Don't time them out.
just for a
But
short bit. I don't see what other
Savvy.
choice we have.
Addy, you're on a really short list. I hope you know that.
Listen to me, all of you, for a moment. Now we've had well, a bad couple of days.
Yeah, is that so, Dutch?
I loved Davy,
God, look at this fucking nerd.
Sean.
Look at this
Matt.
fucking nerd reading
that be
books and
okay?
shit. I can't believe they did.
We don't know,
Wow. A book.
but we lost some folks.
No, I love books. I love books. You're right. I used to also.
In the ground, in their stead. I'd do it, gladly. But we are gonna ride out, and we are gonna find some food. Everybody, we're safe now.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. So Fifi's divorced me, and Sora,
We're gonna be long gone.
Sarah, is gonna put me in a no-kill shelter. Oh, sorry, a kill shelter.
Mr. Pearson, Miss Grimshaw,
Chat.
I need you to turn this place into a camp.
I'm doing amazing.
He may be here for a few days. Now, all of you, get yourselves warm. Stay strong.
Sour, yeah, exactly.
Stay with me. We ain't done yet.
Sow.
Come on, Arthur.
All right, Sword Art Online. How you doing, Sword Art Online?
We ain't
You got
run
this,
out
Sword
yet.
Art. I believe in you.
They both must have headed down the hill.
Sure. Hey, I ain't had time to ask. What really went down back there on that boat?
We missed you.
All right, Sal.
That's what
Sal.
happened.
Hi,
Come on.
Lisa. How you doing, sweetie? Sal. Here. Will this make it up for you?
Oh, yeah.
Give me a second. Let me gift you a sub so you don't got to deal with ads.
I'll live.
All right.
Indoors, son. I
Will you ever forgive me?
need you strong. Okay.
All right, chat.
All right. Let's head out.
Ain't sure what we're gonna find out here, Dutch.
All right, chat. Oh my God! I can't believe you subbed to me. That's crazy. You must really like my streams. Oh God damn it! Not this again. Ooh, woo. Thank you so much for the redeem. Fuck. Wait, where are we going? By the way, chat, you can now fuck with my game. Oh, wait. Chat? You can now fuck with my game. Redeem. Wow, we doing this one.
Let's stick together.
I ain't doing nothing. Don't worry, I did not kill that lady. Anyways. Arf, I'm such a cute little puppy. God damn it. Everyone drown. Let's go, Dutch. I fucks with Dutch. Whoever said Dutch is hot, yeah, no, Dutch is pretty attractive. If I didn't know that he was a shitbag, vomiting right now. Why? Does Gene ever finish a game? Yeah, short ones. Any game that I can play in one stream.
Lost Davy too.
He's the last one, Arthur. No.
Ah, Chiv.
We need to get those people warm.
At least we don't need to worry about Pinkerton.
Also, did we give Fifi a shout out?
A couple more days. We'll be on the other side.
I think the art fixed my thing with the southern accent. I think the art. Oh, what art? If we haven't shouted out Fifi, we should definitely shout out Fifi as well. Filthy. Thank you kindly.
You up ahead. Who's there? Micah.
Gentlemen,
Gentlemen.
Anything?
I think so. Found a little.
Bye, Sword Art Online. Miss you.
Hey, anyone home?
Sure.
The thing is, he said I could have books in his basement. Exactly, you can have books in my basement.
Go see.
Follow me.
Mama.
Davy doing?
He didn't make it. Nor did little Jenny.
That's too bad. Davy was a real fighter. Both of them.
All right, sent Sonny for 15. Oh, that's why the weather. Did you really just change the weather?
Sean,
We don't know.
why?
This is a lot less. This is a lot less intimidating now that it's just sunny weather.
All right, Micah.
Ask him if he's seen John.
Vanya just saved everybody. The storm ended, chat. Everything's fine now.
Didn't see much of anything once they
I didn't know we had a child.
He hasn't seen him.
Oh, sorry. Let me do a stretch.
Things all right for that boy.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you for the hydrant, Lisa.
Mac and Sean are still out there somewhere, too. Move up, Arthur. I'll cover the rear.
Vanya saved the day, chat. Why am I spinning? Why am I spinning? Wait, no! What is going on now? Stop, fucking, come on. Hey, hi, Micah. Are you sure about this, Micah?
This, Micah.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Morgan,
Calm
I
down.
never thought I would be so pleased to see your face. Been kind of.
How many baby mamas you got? I don't know.
Where's everyone else? Old mining camp, back up the hill.
Thank God I love Dills.
Around a
Oh,
fire,
crazy.
Waiting for Daddy to put food on the table. Said it before. We got too many mouths to feed. Well, we got a few less.
Wait, where am I going?
now, so you should be happy.
Where am I going? Gene is my favorite. I'm not a horse.
You think it's unreasonable to expect others to do the same?
All right, wait.
So this
Wait.
house,
Wait, I think I'm misunderstanding how to do this.
already?
Give me a second, chat. I think I'm gonna figure this out, okay? Ha. Alright. No, that ain't working. How does this work?
Okay, go.
I'm trying to figure out how, like, the auto run thing works, chat. But it ain't working.
Okay, let's keep it down.
I give up,
now,
chat.
gentlemen.
We ain't auto running.
Snuff and stash.
You're gonna. Excuse me!
Best you two lie
Gene has it covered. Don't judge me, Chad. Don't judge me. By the way, you can also yeet the horses. You can yeet me. Yeah. You can kill me. Hi, Barry Blue. How you doing? What's up, Barry? All right, we got an ad break immediately. Hello, Shiny. How you doing? Oh, God. Why is it technicolored? What is this? Oh.
Let's hitch up here.
Where am I? Oh, God, I'm drunk. This is drunk? Oh, my God. Launch nearby NPC? Wait, who launched? I don't think anybody launched. We're just gonna find somebody's been launched, chat. You killed Michael's horse! You killed the horse! You just... You fucking you killed the horse! I have everything to kill! He killed Michael's horse! That's crazy, chat. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think we're done with the Southern voice for now. Unless somebody wants to give me a bunch of money. Just kidding. Okay. You didn't even kill Micah. You just killed Micah's horse.
Fine people.
All right, follow Dutch. I'm not tempting you, Desi, but I did say $50 and I do the Southern voice the entire stream.
You two, get yourself out of sight.
All right.
Holy man is a lot less intimidating than three nasty-looking degenerates. Arthur, in that cattle shed on the left.
Here we go, Chad. Are you ready? Are you ready, Chad? We're gonna fuck them up. Go to the shed. Press Q to take cover. Thank you. What the fuck was that? Well, why did I just bounce? No, Desi. Desi, no, not allowed. I said you're not allowed to.
Hello? Shut up, Billy. Excuse me.
Excuse me. I'm an old man.
Hello, friend.
What you want?
I am very sorry.
Bounce on it, Dio.
to disturb
What do you mean?
My friends and I, well, we got
Don't be
into
looking, V.
some trouble up the way. Lost in the storm.
Ooh, move the camera.
Gentlemen,
We can't help you, mister.
I got folks.
Arthur,
dying on the
Arthur,
trail.
we got a problem.
Yeah, I see it.
There's a corpse right here.
Now, I just
Arthur.
need some
There's a body
cans of food
in the
or
wagon.
something.
I hear you. Just
Gentlemen,
keep your eyes on Dutch.
please.
I think you should go now, buddy.
All right, one.
Now, friend,
We ain't shooting until they pull something.
for much.
Come on.
Please.
Come on.
I am
Crazy style. A bounce on it. Crazy style.
I don't believe it. Come here, partner. Come here. It's goddamn.
And
One up top of the window.
God, it's so hard to see.
You goddamn bastards, you're dead now.
Nah, you ain't going anywhere, bud. Sorry. Oh, God, where am I going? No!
Let's go search the cabin.
All right. Let's take a quick little look to see if the thing was done.
Turn the place upside down. Grab as many supplies as you can.
Okay, let me see if.
Medicine, whiskey.
God damn it. All right, chat.
O'Driscoll.
With southern voice.
It's a strange one, all right. Maybe they're hiding up here, too. There's a big...
All right, chat. Apparently, we're gonna be like this the entire goddamn stream. The snow's the most real. I mean, the snow is amazing.
Dead is about the only thing me and Uncle Sam agree on.
So yeah, chat. This is gonna be like this the entire. Oh God, who the fuck are you and where'd you come from? All right, bye. Y'all have a good one. Y'all have a lovely time. I'll see y'all next time. Bye. Jesus Christ. All right. Oh, there's another one. Hey, what's up, girlie? Okay.
Dry, warm.
She spun from my crotch. Fair enough.
Jack down here.
Maybe. We'll see how they are when we get back. I don't really want us to split up.
All right, chat. Also, chat, since this seems like it's going to be like a lot of fun, we might go a little bit long with this one, okay? We might go a little long with this one, Daddy Arthur. Ooh, whoa. Hype train? What do you mean a hype train? Wait, what'd you get, 250? Why is there more people? Where are they coming from? Oh, right. Sorry, we're supposed to be searching around here, ain't we? What's that number? Nope. All right. Things I do for you. The things I do for love. Yeah, also, because, I mean, like, Desi paid $50. So, reasonably. All right, Pinky, we'll finish the game. Damn. We'll do it.
I'm starving. We should eat something now.
Oh, God, what just happened? All right, I bet. I'm doing this. Oh, yeah, welcome to the stream, Moxie. It's going to be at it, baby. Is that empty stamina? Was that why I was tired? All right, let me do a little stretch. All right, let me eat some snacks.
I'm going to start packing the horses. You keep looking.
By the way, chat, so there's certain redeems that you're going to do that as you do them,
Grab anything you think we can use.
as you do them, they're gonna increase in price, and they will reduce in price after a certain amount of time. So certain ones will reduce after 10 minutes, some of them will reduce after 1 minute, but the price stacks. I haven't ate anything, chat. Moxie, that's in-game. You can't mute that, that's in-game. See? I got a choice. There ain't no nearby NPCs. Wait until I get into town. Alright, we're taking these. Alright. And does it give you more points over time, chat? You should be able to get more points over time. Hey, yo, Blooded Cigar, how you doing? I think we got everything we need, right? I mean, like, no, don't need anything else? Welcome back. Nah, no. I mean, yeah, the accent's gonna be there for the rest of the night. Obviously, you redeemed it. And with...
Arthur, keep looking for stuff. Arthur. Go see if there's anything in that barn.
Not too good. Stepped on glass. Oh my God, he stepped on glass. Girl.
Sure.
Boy. I don't know what your gender is. Non-binary. Go take care of it. Go be careful. Oh God. Ah. Mwah. Wait, what are we doing? Boom, 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 boom. Get punched. Get wrecked. Get beat up. Easy.
Sneaky little bastard. Should I kill him?
No. Not yet. Find out what they're doing here.
All right, Jack, here we go.
Home is.
Oh, this son of a bitch will talk.
Question.
Where's Colm O'Driscoll?
With the others. At an old mining camp southwest.
Oh,
of
he's
here.
answering pretty quick. Hi, how you doing? What's a mannequin?
What are you bastards doing?
How the guy jumped like he's... Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, the pickling this morning. That was the worst.
Fixing to rob some train. Gonna blow the tracks. I don't know more than that, I swear.
All right, gonna beat him a bit.
Well, I would say it looks like you have this, Arthur. Do what you want with him. I don't care. But bring that horse when you're done. Oh.
I don't know anything else. Please. Please.
What do you think, chat? Chat, hey, Vanya, can you run me a
You
poll?
won't see me again.
Choke, spare, or beat?
Please.
Oh, I got you. Give me a second. All right, chat.
Please, partner. I won't breathe a word to nobody.
Choke, spare, beat to death.
Just let me go, come on.
All right, chat, we got 1 minute. Let's go. Thank y'all for the hype train. I really appreciate it, by the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Save your money. Chat, wait until we finish this part. Don't stop liking and begging.
You'll never see me again.
Honest, you'll never see me again. You'll never see me again. All right, 1 second. We're going to see what it is. Beat to death. Why do y'all want me to beat him to death? Why are there so many votes for beat him to death? Y'all are some weirdos. There's 9 votes for beat him to death. There's 3 for choke. 2 for spare. 9 to beat him to death. Really? Really, chat? Really? This is what you want? They want me to beat him to death? All right. You know what? 1,
Please, partner.
2. Just for you, chat. Just for you, chat. We beat a man to death. Yana, I could go up or down, by the way. What does that mean? He, him, as well as he's her. That's fair. That's fair. Well. Boy. Girl. I don't know, whatever you want me to call you. Either one. No spreading hole, chat. No spreading hole. Oh, right.
Easy there.
Southern accent has corrupted my very being. I'm gonna pet this little horsey.
Yeah, that's it, boy.
Come on, little horsey. You're mine now. Good boy. Come on, baby boy. Let's head out into the wind, all right?
Is that bastard still in there?
He's
Oh, my.
dealt with.
Good. That looks like a decent horse.
Yeah, Chad, we got a horse.
Tie him up over there.
Come on, baby boy. What a gorgeous boy you are. Look at him. Look how beautiful. He's got that hair. Oh, shit.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Oh, look, I found it a salad.
Oh.
Dig ain't ya?
Leave her alone.
I wasn't doing nothing. She's one of them O'Driscolls.
No, she ain't. My
That looks like a paint. Why is your brain barely working?
It is gonna be okay. We mean you no harm. Miss.
I was just talking to a horse,
It'll be
Chat.
okay.
What's your problem? You got some issue with the horse?
Quick. Come on.
Oh my God. I cannot believe Micah. Micah's a fucking idiot. Look at this fucking idiot. Chat was shooting him. I'm killing him.
3 days ago.
She ain't no witch. She ain't no witch.
Miss, you are safe now. And you can't stay here.
Hey, Chat. Aren't they doing a remaster of Red Dead 1?
Miss, it's okay. We're bad men. We ain't them. It's okay.
I think they're doing a remaster of Red Dead 1, right?
Get on. We'll keep you safe.
If they do a
until you figure
remaster-
out what you want to do.
What's your name, miss?
And we like this one. Do we want to do the first one? This already got a vibe about it.
Sadie.
This already got a vibe about it. By the way, Chat, I tried to put on a cowboy hat, but all of them look stupid. So that's why I ain't got a cowboy hat. I'm sorry.
He was my husband.
Huh? What'd I do, Aura? What's wrong? What'd I do wrong?
Hey! Somebody's coming! Looks like it's Dutch. Hey, everybody, Dutch is back!
No.
How'd you get on?
Micah found a homestead, but he weren't
Damn.
the first.
Thank you.
Colm O'Driscoll and his scum, they beat us to it. We found some of them there, but there is more about. Apparently.
I did not set that part up, Chat, so that was not my...
That's the last thing we need right now, Dutch.
Well, it is what it is. So we found some supplies.
All right, Chat, give me 1 second. I need to end the session, and we're going to fix it. All right, we're going to see if I can take a look at it. Give me a second.
Miss Tilly, Miss Karen, would you warm
We're going
her
to pull
up?
up
Her a drink or something.
pricing customized.
Mrs. Adler,
Twitch
it's
events.
gonna be okay. You're safe now.
Uh,
They turned her into a widow. Animals. I need some rest. I haven't slept in 3 days.
You're over here.
you
It's
said
okay, I'll show
free?
you the way. Mr. Morgan, we put you in a room over here.
Thank you, Miss Grimshaw.
Mr. Bell, you're with the fellas over there.
What? How come Arthur gets a room and I get a bunk bed next to Bill Williamson and a bunch of darkies?
Get yourself to bed.
He ain't been
Oh,
seen
no,
in days.
refresh time was disabled. That's why.
He's strong.
We'll do it every 30
Maybe
minutes.
smart. Strong, at least.
All viewers.
Abigail?
All right, so I didn't set it up wrong.
How you
It's
doing?
automatically set up with that.
Just fine, Abigail. And you?
All right, there you
I need
go.
you to- I'm sorry.
Fixed.
I'm sorry to ask, but
It's little John. He's got himself caught into a scrape.
Thank you for the
again.
bits. Thank you, Savvy. Hope you enjoy using them.
2 days.
Your John will be fine. I mean, he may be as dumb as rocks and as dull as rusted iron, but that ain't changing.
He may
because
be
he
as
got
dumb as
caught in
rusted
some
iron,
snowstorm.
Please go take a look.
but maybe.
Javier? Yes.
All right, I gotta try a bit more of that gruff in it.
To take a look for John.
Sound a bit better, Chat.
You're the 2 best fit men we've got. Now? We're
All right. All right.
pretty worried about him.
Don't be shanking nobody, Chad. Don't you be shanking
Situation
nobody.
reversed.
He looked for me.
All right, let's go get him, Javier. You and I, Javier, we gonna get
Thank
him.
you.
This way. Last I know, John was headed up the river.
There was a room where I'd have to shoot either Arthur, Micah, and myself. I got a gun with 2 bullets. I'd shoot Micah twice. How about I bite you? I'm in alley. Alley. You want to bite me that badly? You want to bite me that badly? Chad, imagine if Gene would be rapping on stream. That would be fun. No! Chad, I'm not a rapper. Is Chad with me on this one? I'm with you on that one. I am with you on that one. Anybody wants to buy Gene? I'll buy it, Gene. Give me a second.
Hey, I see
Ow.
some smoke. Come on, let's take a look.
Let's hope it ain't
Ow.
more of O'Driscoll's boys.
I heard.
Well,
I've been myself. All right. Where were we? I sent you. What'd you send me?
that way.
What'd you send me? Me?
There's some tracks leading to the river. Easy. Let's cross.
All right.
Continue up that way.
That horse is stunning.
This way, Arthur.
All right. Let's see where we're going. Oh, Javier, come back. Javier, I've lost you. Javier.
Hey, stay on these tracks.
Javier.
Come on.
Not in a millionaire. Oh, God. Javier, come back. Javier, I don't know how to ride.
These are horse tracks for sure, but could be anywhere.
Oh, we did. Oh, God. In the river we go. Don't worry about me, Javier. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Javier.
You were there, Javier. What really happened on that?
Oh, shit.
Guy out here.
Chat, I remembered something. Where is it? You took it.
We had the money, it seemed fine. And suddenly they were everywhere.
Bounty hunters?
No, Pinkerton. It was crazy. Raining bullets. Come on, we should keep moving. Raining bullets.
All right, let's see if this is gonna work. Come on, work for me, please. Work for me, please. I need you to work for me. Come on, girly pop. You know you want to work for me. Come on, girly, please. Yeah.
There, boy.
All right, chat. So I'm gonna use. Oh shit! Don't worry about it. I'm gonna use controller when riding the horse. Oh god, this is so awful. Welcome back.
Watch out for this crevice.
It's called a crevasse, actually, Javier.
Dutch killed a girl in a bad way.
And then I can do this.
But it was
I
a
can swap to
bad
this.
situation.
And we're good. I'm back, Echo. I did it. I took it and shoved it down Desi.
Tracks go left, down here.
What'd you shove down? What'd you shove down Desi's pants? Keep it out, Desi pants.
Davey got shot. Mac and John, both shot too. Sean, we don't even know. I'm surprised we escaped at all. By the time you boys showed up from the other side of town, we were only just holding.
All right, not that. Nope, put that away. Put it away.
Bad business, all right.
Ah, welcome home. Congratulations. Don't kill people, that's bad. You can't stop me.
We'll lose these tracks if we don't move fast.
To activate cinematic mode, I hit that button. What button? Oh, how do I? I ain't know what I'm doing, chat. Anyways, you have homework. Come on, boy. Nope, not that button. This button? Not that button. This button. Aha. Figured it out, chat. We're good. Which is the auto rat? I gotta figure this out. 1 second. This is gonna drive me insane. I want him to walk next to people without any issue. Controls. And what do you shove down somebody's pants? What's happening? Okay. Cycle camera for photo mode. Lock on mode on foot. Aim assist. Blah 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 blah. Don't care about any of that. Third person. First person. Where's the haunts? Where's the haunt? Wait. Vibration on. Ooh. Horse control. Camera relative. Doesn't help me. Where are the controls listed? Don't tell me I'm gonna have to Google the controls for this. Am I insane, chat? What's in your pants? What's in your pants? I want to figure out the mode that... Nah, Nova. Nova, such a good girl. Such a good girl. I want to figure out the button I can press to make them auto run. Okay. Auto. Horse. Follow. Auto. R3. All right, Chad, we're going to try this here. We're going to see if this works. No, because last time I held the shift button, he just ran off into the distance. Oh my god, it's working now. Oh my god, it's working now. Oh, wait a second. Now it ain't working. This'll do. Hi, God, Siren. How you doing? Where am I going? Where is he going? Why am I cinematically running off of the cliff? Where am I going? Where is he going? What is going on? I don't know. I don't know anymore, Chad. I'm so sorry about that. I'm trying to figure this one out. Where's Happy? Oh, God. Well, into the... Well. Oh, by the way, is this thing working now? We're gonna do a little bit of... The spider's closing in on me. Fight it. Fight the spider. I didn't mean to, all right? I didn't mean to. Okay, so I think what I'm supposed to do is this. Nope. Come on. Come on. All right, there. So we get close, and we hit this.
You think it's John?
There it is.
These are horse tracks for sure, but could be anyone. Let's just see where they lead.
So, you were there, Javier. What really happened on that boat?
We had the money, it seemed fine. Then suddenly they were everywhere.
Bounty hunters?
No, Pinkertons. It was crazy. Raining bullets.
I think I figured it out, chat. All right, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. All right, lovelies. Oh, I forgot to call you on Dee Dee's today. How are you, my devious darlings? How are you, my Dee Dee's?
Bad way. But it was a bad situation.
Hello there, darling. Chat, remember, everybody is a D or a D. They're either devious, they're darling, or they're devious darling. No, buddy, follow. Follow. Come on, Arthur. It ain't that hard.
I'm surprised we escaped at all.
Are you having the time of your life?
You boys showed up from the other side of town.
Having the time of my life. No, don't. Okay. Ain't touching anything. Bubba girl, can we match his pace, please? There we go. I think we got it. Come on, keep following him. Keep following him. I think we got it now, chat. I think we figured it out. Yeah! Look at that! We're great! We did it! I forgot the man does the southern accent so well. Now you just have a big D. That's fair too. Dastardly divas. That's right, chat. I want y'all to change what DD stands for every time somebody asks you what DD stands for, by the way. So anytime anybody ever asks you, what does DD stand for? You give it something different, all right?
A lot of fresh snow here.
I don't know about this, Javier. We can't.
We do love the southern accent, my lovely, lovely darlings.
Maybe we'll pick up the trail again.
Almost there.
I think the best part about this is that I don't even have to play the game right now. I can just watch him. My dubious decibel.
Over there. You see that?
Yeah. dubious degenerates. Gene Redeem.
John was
Oh,
riding that road
hi.
through the Blackwater. Let's see
Yuki.
if he can hear us.
Hi, Yuki. Yuki, sweetie, you are so very, very fantastic. You are so very, very wonderful. And I hope you know that I really, really appreciate you so very, very much. I think that you are a lovely addition to the stream, and you're going to bring such good energy here that I'm just excited to have you. You lovely, lovely darling. I hope you enjoy your time here as much as I enjoy having you here. Now, all you gotta do
He's coming from up
is keep
ahead
doing as
somewhere.
amazing as you currently are, alright?
You can go much
You're
further
great.
with the
You're
horses.
fantastic. And you are going to do some great things, alright? You're going to do such great
That
things.
shotgun
Mwah.
on your horse. Who knows what's up ahead?
Alright. Let's see what we got. Shotguns. Wait, how do I? No. Alright. Tab. Hold tab to view your stored weapons. Oh, there we go.
Grab your shotgun.
Mwah.
Come on.
Alright, chat. You can stop fucking with me again. Wait, is there a blizzard now? Did the horse not? Okay, luckily the horse didn't launch. I think we're good. I think we're... Oh, and yeah, I already gave you yours. Delicious delicacies. Ooh.
It's slippery. Be careful.
Can't stop me. Jump. All right, chat. I'm going to try out something real quick. We're going to try something out just to make sure everything's working, okay? It's working.
No, we don't need any bloodshed. Why are you acting like this?
Y'all stealing my stamina.
Careful. There's a drop here.
Desolate debauchery. Ooh, I like that
Watch
one.
out
That
here.
one's nice. Oh God, no. Okay, cliff. Fuck, climb the cliff. Where am I?
Let's
Fucking.
keep moving.
All right, I got this, chat. It's fine. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Crouch. All right, we're crouching. No. I can't believe you made me do that. Al, what do you mean, Al? Gotcha. I don't know what happened. I just kind of ran off a cliff randomly. Don't worry about it. Camera shake. Oh,
That we're high up here.
that's just uncomfy.
Me.
Oh, fuck! What the fuck? Give me a second, I'm busy, Javier! Javier, wait for me! Javier, I'm trying, Javier! Oh, God, no! Stop beating me! All right. It's fine, chat. I'm fine.
Come on.
I'm fine. Jesus. Where's my hat? There it is. You send me damage? Don't worry about it, Javier. It's fine. Nothing bad happened. Anyways, how do I do this again? Items. Eat some kidney beans.
Drops down here. Watch yourself. Watch out here.
Y'all, if that's gonna be so funny if I have to be stealthy and y'all just start sending women to beat me up.
Okay. Good now.
Watch your step.
Why is my stamina core empty?
Stay close to the wall. Up here. Come on.
All right, give me a second. Eat them beans.
Come on. That sounds close.
Why do I keep turning around? What's going on? Climb, please. Oh, thank you for the fill health. Appreciate it.
We're coming, John.
It's fine, John. Don't worry. We'll get there eventually. Oh, thank you for the fill stamina. I appreciate it. Perfect for the occasion, I guess. Oh, yeah.
It's cold.
Ain't my fault, man. Got a spider? Or the spider get you? Ooh, ooh. Putting a bandana on.
Let's keep
I'm a
moving,
secret boy now.
Come on.
Give the spider a kiss. Make out with the spider, chat. Make out with the spider.
Marston!
John, where are you?
Had to save my boy. Oh, I said I'm your boy. Oh, am I your boy now?
Coming.
Honey. Oh, God, no!
Over here!
I'm fine.
All right! Hot down, Marston!
Hi, Mitchie. How you doing?
Quite a scratch you got there.
Never thought I'd say this, but good to see you, Arthur Morgan.
Yeet the NPC. Yeet the NPC. Yeet the NPC. Just throw him off the cliff.
I don't feel too good neither. I'm freezing.
No, don't do that, Chad. Don't do that. Don't yeet him yet.
Come on, compadre.
Mitchie's a ghost. Oh, sorry. Allie, let me. Oh, God, where'd he go? Come back out here.
Sorry side.
Can't argue with you there.
See? I told you that you weren't the right man for this.
Sure you did.
Man, that man.
Hopefully this will lead us out.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch this. Oh, God, yeah, there's wolves. All right, Chad. All right, Allie. So what were we saying, Allie, again? Oh, hi. Hey, there you are, darling. How you doing, sweetie? Man, you're sweeter than a little bit of sweet tea.
Distracted while you get to the horses.
Bet you're more tasty than apple pie, ain't you? Oh, no, we gotta kill some dogs.
Let's get you on that horse.
It's just a random. Oh, God, come back! Ah, they're fine, chat. They're fine. Anyways.
Hey, over here!
They're attacking the random woman! He's killing this random lady! Oh, God, chat! Oh, my God, that's insane. Oh, Mitchie. Oh, Mitchie, hello, you fair Monroe. What do you mean? What do you mean, Monroe? There's accents here the entire time. Have y'all just been eating them back here? Oh, no, that lady's dead. That lady dead. Monroe, sweetie. Monroe, darling. All right, y'all can make it. I believe in you. Get on your horse. Why am I falling over? Get up. Loot the body. Oh, you right. We'll loot the body. God, you know, it sucks that you spawned out here randomly, but, I guess I'm taking her? Monroe, sweetie pie, come here. Where am I going? No! Oh, God, no! No. Oh. Abandoned Javier. I'm sorry. You went to heaven and you abandoned Javier. Monroe. We have Moreau and we have Monroe. Can't believe we got both of them here chatting. All right, we're gonna try this again. I'm sorry. You ascended to heaven.
Perfect. You head for the horses.
Abandonment by death.
Drop
Exactly.
your hands off until you're clear.
This time we ain't got no lady with us though. Come here, wolvies. Come here, puppies. I'm gonna finish y'all real quick. Come here, come here, come here. Shit. Shit. There we go. Monroe, sweetie. Come here, Monroe. You ain't gonna give me the attention I want? How dare you? Ain't no fair. Ain't no fair. I deserve more attention. Well, Chet, you made it happen. Fine, I'll shoot Javier instead. Does that make you feel better? Don't eat me, chat. 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 Don't eat. I mean, you can also. It'd be hilarious, but Gene's putting down his brothers.
Come on, then. Let's get back to the others. Yeah.
Chat, give me more attention. Give me more attention, chat. I need more attention.
You'll be fine. It's just like a dog bite.
New fella?
No, don't get me. What? Hey.
You ain't gonna die. Not yet.
Who's a good boy? I don't know. Somebody, clearly. Let him beg? Oh, you want... Chad, you want me to beg? Oh, Chad, I got you. You want me to beg? What am I begging for, Chad? Please, Chad, give me all the attention I want. Give me all that attention I deserve.
More of them.
Well, shit. Two. Yes, Vanya.
More on the right. We got more wolves on the left. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Shit. Whoa. Oh my god, I shot him! You blew him up! You blew him up! I can't believe you blew him up, chat. I can't believe you blew him up.
Come on, then. Let's get back to the others.
It's like, why did I die? Oh. Chat blew him up.
I don't feel
Tee-hee. You gotta take some laps. Go get your little run in, alright?
A dog bite.
new fella? Got bit by a dog.
There we go.
An hour later.
Oh yeah, did you hear about the fanfic? Did you hear about that fanfic?
Not yet.
It's a good fanfic. I mean, it's about your favorite subject ever, chat. The great Gene. Alright. That's the best I can do in the Southern. Hey, yo, hey. There we go. Alright. I can't do it in Southern. I can do the... Alright. Alright, give me a second, chat. Gotta do this, gotta get it. No. Hey, yo. Screaming to the void. I'm not a void. I got plenty of feeling.
You still with
And if
us,
you're really
Monster?
worried about your void, I mean, I can always... Anyways, Gene, even though you beg and plead for praise and attention, you still get my undivided attention along with my money. You're still very entertaining, funny, witty, and overall a pleasure to be around with. A dangerously hot voice that would make anyone drop to their knees. You keep being your amazing self, you handsome devil. Thank you, Desi. I appreciate that. Thank you, Desi. Mwah.
Of course. That bullet
All right,
rock
where are we?
and
What are
now
we doing?
this.
What are we doing?
Had a hell of a time.
And Arthur always says, I'm lucky.
None of us are lucky right now.
Oh, Moxie, you gotta find yourself something. Find yourself a hobby, Moxie. I believe in you, all right? I believe in you. If you need any help finding a new hobby, no, Moxie, you're gonna find yourself a subject, all right?
Freezing, bleeding,
I mean, you're gonna fix it on me.
damn near getting eaten to death ain't good enough for you.
Here, let's cross to the left.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I'll give you some time to fix it on.
Get back.
Wait, I can drop this now. Oh, this is fun now. I can go even near.
Nearly there.
Lovely. Chat, we found a new level. I can keep back here in the back of my throat now. A little bit more. Can you check your Discord real quick? Bet. Keep of fate, keep of fate. Where? Oh, I can't go any lower. I can't go any lower, or the lower it goes is 30. I mean, give me a second. I can see if I can increase it a bit so y'all can get more points, but that's the lowest I can go for 30. Yeah. Nah, Aura, I tried. I am trying. Gonna drink some water. Oh, go get yourself some water. Give me a second here. Options, coins. Here, we'll do the max. We'll do 250. 250 is the max I can do. And we'll do 250 for everybody. And we'll do 100 for free if you're a free person, and if you are tier 1 sub, you get 250. All right? Bam. So yeah. Ha ha ha. So everybody, you'll get 100 points. Nah, fuck it. We're doing the first time. Everybody gets 250 points. Every 30 minutes, everybody gets 250 points. Gotcha? Mm-hmm. The best I can do. The best I can do. Start session. All right, we're back.
Come on! Someone help John down off this horse.
Can we get some help here?
Hey, yo. Hey. That was me. I did that, chat.
Can we get
He was so
some
kind.
help?
You bet I am.
We need some help here.
Come on, help him down.
You're alive! You're alive!
Here we go. There we go. Ay, careful, idiotas. It's his leg.
But yeah, chat.
Come on, let's get you warm. Thank you.
Why was the
Thank you
first
both.
thing launch all nearby horses?
Low, even though
Thank you, Arthur. Thank
You
you.
got any other
But yeah, so also
need
chat.
saving?
Next stream that we do this, I'm gonna be putting the point redeems as channel points, so you can also use channel points. Thank you for the
Just
hydrate.
discussing with Herr Strauss when the weather breaks. Suppose we'll have to keep heading
Mm.
east.
East. Into
So yeah,
Oregon.
chat, get ready for that.
That's
The next stream is gonna be
The west is
channel
where our
points
problems
instead of
are worse.
also the coins.
Come on, Herr Strauss. Let's get warm.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Help Jack off a horse? No, we're helping Jack off a horse. We're not helping Jack off a horse. Hi, Amethyst. How you doing, sweetie?
We've been running
How's my favorite
for
birthstone doing?
We found shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Been resting here in some old abandoned mining town.
Hello,
while we
Abu.
wait the
How you
fall.
doing?
Hardly the spring I had been hoping for.
So what now, Dutch?
We get strong, we get warm.
All right, chat. This is a little reminder now. At
The storm breaks, we move.
at this point,
We're safe here. Warm
there's
enough,
gonna be
I guess.
what am I thinking about, chat? Chat, my brain should continue playing to unlock horse content. It'd be bonus content.
Doubtful, just worried.
My brain shut off. All right. So from this point
I
on,
wasn't on that boat, so hard to say.
I am on call.
Trust your judgment,
So I might get a
Dutch.
call from work. Just a heads up. And we'll go for at least 1 extra hour long. All right?
I don't feel that this is
1 extra hour long. Get ready.
I hope not.
We had a bit of bad luck, but then the storm covered our tracks, so now we wait a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to Blackwater and we get our money, or we get some more money, and we keep heading west
But we're heading east.
for now.
What's class of 09? What's class of 09, chat? How am I through that shit? Why'd I get a new hat? Wait, my clothes my clothes changed! Hey, yo! Oh, God. Hi, Dutch.
Not you, Arthur. You doubting me too?
Never.
Good. Because you know me, son. I'm just getting started.
Get money for crowd.
Some money, well,
Did I just get money? I got money. Thank you for
send some
money.
men after us, 'cause they ain't never gonna find us. But we need money.
Of course, Dutch.
Thank you, son, for your strength. It means a
I'm
lot.
gonna check it out then. Hi, Crucified Phil. How you doing? Thank you for the link. Arthur. Look at Arthur. He needs a beard, though. Man looks better with a beard.
We weren't there, Jose.
I'm aware of that. And they shouldn't have been either.
Oh, we can't change nothing now.
Yeah?
Another day.
Yeah, I don't recommend playing it if you're easily triggered because it's really dark.
It's okay. It's okay. You're safe now. She'll be okay, Arthur.
I'm sure she will, Mary Beth.
There we go. One second, chat.
Keep warm, all of you. Keep warm. Just a few more days and we'll get off this hill.
I hope so.
Stay strong.
It's been a nasty few days.
I know. And we've had tough times before. We keep moving and we keep together.
All right, anyway,
Same
sorry.
as always.
We're back.
All of you.
What are we doing? Chad has sat in my room for 20 minutes and hand sewed a shirt so it would fit me better. Bought him. Oh, amazing, Lynn. Do you want to sew me a shirt? I want a shirt. Hey, Mons, could you check my chat on Discord real quick? I appreciate it.
Chooseth the tree that will not rot. He
What?
seeketh unto him
Wait, why are we listening to Jesus? No, no more Jesus.
an image.
No.
Shall not be moved.
I have a funny story. No one chat. What's the funny story? What's it about? Oh my God, my outfit changed. Why do? Oh my God, no! Come back. Where am I going? Where am I going, chat? Oh God. Okay, maybe I can land in the water. Water. Land in the water. Land in the water. Land in the water. Damn! I made it. I made it. 3 inches of water saved me, chat. Yeah. Get wrecked. Oh. Hey, yo. Wait, why am I Dutch? Apparently I'm Dutch now. Arthur, we need money. We need money, Arthur. You got money? What's up, stranger? I got a plan. Hey, Arthur, I got a plan. Arthur, oh God, not again. Shit, I got that. No, let me, no. Damn it. I didn't eat any food yet, chat. I hadn't eaten food. Shit, crucified. You said you got a story. What's the story? Tell me about it. Crucified, like my savior. I don't know if I'm gonna load here. Wait, what the fuck? What's going on? Chat, what's going on? Oh, we're back. Maybe eat food if they haven't. I'm gonna eat food, alright? I'm gonna try to eat food. Before Chad can kill me again. There we go. Eat them crunchy biscuits. I also can't wait until you move out because I think that's a good idea. Moving out is a good idea for anybody. Is that... Dude, what just happened? She just blew something... Why? I was in Walmart with my mom, and one of the balls from my piercings unscrewed and fell out. Oh, that sucks. And off my pant leg a tinkle before my mom looked at me and then said... oh, thank you for the full heal. I appreciate you. Darling, I appreciate you. I hope you know that. Oh my God, I got a new hat. Thank you for that, chat. Yeah. Oh, child. Oh, boy, child.
Up with you boys because I thought you liked action. Couple of days on the lam, you lot have all turned yellow. Apart from you.
All right, Mosswolf, honey.
I ain't never seen so many long faces.
You're such a good little honeybee. Such a good little honeybee,
I
Mosswolf.
don't want no fuss.
My darling little dwarf.
probably. Funny, huh? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like being laughed at by the likes
Well,
of
Crucified.
Stop it! Now!
I hope you found it. I think it's funny, Crucified. I do think it's funny. I hope you found the ball, though.
Hard? Want to sit around waiting for him to come find us? All of you, we got work to do. Come on.
You sure
Maka's
about
such a
this,
bitch.
Yes.
Folks been through a lot recently. We hardly back on our feet
I
yet.
love the stupid hat. The stupid hat is so good, chat.
Let's go.
I know you hate him, Dutch.
He's here for us.
I doubt
I
that.
hope you found
you're
your
just
balls,
doubting me.
Crucified.
I would never doubt you, Dutch. You always said revenge is a luxury we can't afford.
This is the right call, Arthur. Take this.
Wait,
It's about more than
why is his
revenge
beard
for
rapidly
business.
growing between
Long
scenes?
ago, they were talking about trains.
Why is his beard rapidly growing between
Home
scenes?
Always had good information. Come on.
You think now is the right time to hit a train.
Now you might
I ain't
fancy
crazy,
little
am I?
beer, piss, and rabbit
I
shit.
swear his beard is a lot longer than it was at the start of this conversation.
Mr. Matthews, Mr. Smith, Mr. Pearson.
Wait,
Please
wait,
look
go back.
after the place.
Go back.
There are O'Driscolls about. Yeah!
Nah, his beard is significantly longer. I had a fully shaven beard like 3 seconds ago.
He said follow the main trail.
And now I have no
southwest.
beard. The beard is gone again, chat.
Okay, let's go find these bastards before they find us and rob this core of their planet.
Was it the hat? I bet it was the hat. I bet it was the hat. I bet the hat did it. I did. I had to sterilize it before I put it back, and she walked into the kitchen while I said, "Never lend me that pump." Oh my God, chat. Oh my God, look at this man. Look how goofy this man be looking. Oh, it's nighttime now, and it's raining.
Tracks, horses, quite a few of them.
Thank you for the environment change.
As far as
Ah,
I can tell,
Shayla.
the only fools out here are
There we
us
go.
and
That's better. At least we covered. At least we covered his stupid head.
Good, Dutch?
Of course. Listen, I know you don't think much of my ideas recently, but this is the right move.
Okay.
God, what is this goofy ass?
You know I got your back.
I learned a long time ago that you can't call him O'Driscoll. Wait for him.
You know what this is? This is a gnome, man. This is gnome Martha. He's going hoopity doopity. I'm a gnome.
Needs to be put to rest, one way or another.
Hoopity doopity. I'm a magic boy.
Some things I can forgive. Others
He's gonna
I
be
can't.
casting spells soon. Might draw Cowboy Gene, please. God, I love Cowboy Gene. I love Cowboy Gene. Every time somebody draws me as Cowboy Gene, I grow
Yes.
an inch.
And hope the bastards will be reunited.
It's like random clothes.
That's how
Ah,
this
there we go. There we go. We're back to normal. Why am I spinning? Why am I spinning? Oh God, chat, I'm spinning. Fuck. All right. God, no. Hey.
See that smoke? Let's cut up here.
You're a Hufflepuff, aren't you, Harry?
So we must
You
be
grow.
close.
Yeah, like in the hat. My facial hair grows. My hair, my top of my hair, my eyebrows, my tongue. Well, I don't know. Something grows. Don't worry about it. Oh God, Dutch, come back!
Sir?
You doing all right, Dutch? You okay?
Hold up here.
Excuse me.
Arthur.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, boy.
Chat, I just saw
All
something.
right, gentlemen. This is it.
Hi, what's up, girlies? Did you just give me what I think you did, Ocean?
Ready.
Ready, Dutch.
Oh, new clothes.
Now, Mr. Morgan and I, we're gonna head up here a little. See
Don't
what
worry
we
about
can
it, Dutch. I'm just
set the light
changing.
out of the camp.
I ain't sure what outfit I want to watch yet.
Mr. Williamson, Mr. Bell, you two take up a hidden position just outside the camp.
Where's the sand coming from?
Mr. Escuela, you two hold position here. Let's go.
Oh, don't worry. He got a better hat now, chat. All right, I think I just saw something. Can I? Wait. Give me the ability to pull up my gun. Ah,
I thought
finally.
you were going with Dutch.
Oh God! Horses! No! Hibbity hoobity Dutch, hibbity hoobity. Fight nearby NPCs. Who am I gonna fight? Wait, why are they coming towards me? You ain't.
I shouldn't judge, but you sure do look strange.
Don't tell me I look strange. Oh, I cannot use guns now. What's up, Dutch? How you doing, Dutch? Do you wanna... Oh, am I... Sorry.
There they are. That's definitely them. Home? I think so. Yeah.
Dutch is... Arthur, the hell you wearing? Arthur, the hell you wearing? The human Shrek looking out. Come on. Thank you, Ocean. I appreciate the gun. I'm gonna use it. What the hell are we doing? Oh no, the ads.
He don't seem very happy.
Cause he's racist.
They leaving? Seem to be. Should we go get them? No.
Arthur, I have a plan, not involving you looking like.
Get some of them out of there.
Where's he going?
And his score if he never finds out about it. All right, let's go pay our old friends.
Oh, good. We changed clothes again, chat. I'm dressed. What am I? What is my belt? What is my belt?
Don't forget to grab that rifle from your horse.
Oh yeah, don't you worry about it. I'm gonna grab that rifle. Where's my horse?
You boys be ready.
Chat, what? Oh, there it is.
From up there.
Sure thing.
All right, chat. You ready for this? We've been given a lovely, lovely gun. Wait, where is it? Long arm. And we got the calico.
Come on, let's go.
Oh.
We'll circle around the far side and go down.
Oh, look at that gun.
Like you said.
Oh. I can be your belt. I apologize. I'm not well. You know, Allie, you know what we're going to do as punishment? Explain to me what that means. No, come here. Come here, girlie. Come here. Explain to me what that means. What does that mean? What do you mean you're going to be my belt? Come on. What are you going to do? How's that going to work? Come on. Come on, darling. Darling, tell me, how's that going to work? Come on. What is it? What are you going to do? Wrap your arms around me and hold my pants up? Is that what you're going to do? Yeah? I'm waiting. We ain't going back to the game until you tell me. Come on, sweetie. Give me a second. Oh, I'll give you all the time you need. Allie said they're going to be my belt. I didn't think this through. Come on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have shoelaces. You have shoelaces. So you're gonna be my belt by giving me your shoelaces to use as a belt. That's really the best you can come up with? That's the best you can come up with? All right, girlie. You tried. You tried. All right, what are we doing? What are we doing? Shit, am I still in pacifist? Oh, wait, are we going north? I don't know where we're going. There's too many random girlies around here now. Read chapter 5. We're not reading chapter 5 today.
Yeah, just
No, we're doing that. We're doing one per stream. We're doing one per stream.
Completely lost faith in me. Our needs
I will do it
right
next
now
stream.
are supplies
I understand that.
and a way out of here. Everything else.
I understand they paid $100. We gotta make this last, chat. We can't be dumping out a bunch of fanfics all at once.
Come on.
Y'all gonna have to be patient. I don't hate you, Desi. Send random. Oh my God, they look better. What the hell am I wearing, chat? Thank you for the stretch. God, what the hell am I wearing? What the? Oh, now it's nighttime and raining. That's fair. Hello, Mr. Jack. How you doing? What shoelaces? Fine, Desi. I will give you that in return, all right? I'll give you that in return.
This bit's steep.
I will read one every stream. I like how y'all just made him. Oh, okay. Well, give dynamite. Hey, yo, we got dynamite? Wait. We got dynamite. Chat, I got dynamite. Oh. All right, chat, we're going to stealth mission. Let's go. I'm in my suit. I got my bow tie. I got dynamite.
They're going to be gunning for you.
They ain't got me yet.
No, but the way our luck's been running.
Hush. Let's just get down there first.
All right, here we go. Let's do this.
Down through these trees, quick.
Come on. So the second form of stealth. Exactly. You know my favorite form of stealth. There's two kinds of stealth, chat. Number one, you quiet, nobody sees you. Number two, ain't nobody left to see if everybody's dead.
Follow me.
Not Dutch getting thrown into the roof. Oh. I got this, chat.
Okay, let's get in cover.
Oh, we're ready in Southern Voice Amdis. We ain't leaving Southern Voice. Refund them. My Southern American self has come out for the Southern accent and the cowboy game. Thank you. This is done by the lovely Desi Darkness. Can we get a shout out for Desi Darkness? They offered $50 for the voice for the rest of the stream. And they also offered $100 for the fanfic reading that was earlier.
This if you want.
Just make
Hey, Mr. Jagger.
Take the lead. Go.
I got this.
What the hell are you doing? God damn it. All right.
I dropped the dynamite. No, I can't. Fuck. Wait. Come on. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Let me pick it up. All right. I got this. Pick up the dynamite. Pick up. I couldn't pick it up. All right, maybe dynamite was not the best option, chat. Maybe dynamite wasn't the best option, but look.
What are we doing, Dutch? I can take this if you want.
Just make the call. You want to take the lead?
Wait, so what are we doing? Are we okay? Hold.
We have to move on this right now.
Where's she going?
Got everything we need. Yep.
Okay. I'll go first.
You and sort the dynamite.
What am I doing?
We are ready to roll
Do I just?
when they give the word.
What the hell are you doing?
Oh fuck! I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, boys.
Shit! Oh god! Are you bad? I don't know. Are you bad? Did I just lose a gun? Did y'all take my gun? All right, look, we got another gun. It's fine. Come on out. Can't believe y'all just took my gun. There it is. I'm dead. Oh, you're supposed to be stealthy. I'm supposed to be stealthy. Oh. Oh. Nobody told me this. He's just like, I'm going to take the lead. To be fair, the game didn't give me dynamite. Y'all gave me dynamite. You can't blame me for this one.
What the hell are you doing?
What do you mean? Wait, is this one of our? Oh, is this? Oh. I didn't realize this was Micah. I didn't realize this was Micah. All right, thank you for giving me my gun back. Oh, jeez. Woo-wee! Shot the man out of the sky. Thank you, chat. Come on. Where you at? Where you at? Ow. Damn it, now I can't shoot anything. There it is. Alright, where's the next one? Shit. Alright, chat, this time, I understand how stealth works. Hear me out, chat. Hear me out. I understand. Why didn't I take... I understand. I got it now. I get it now, chat. I get it. Chat, me and you? I understand it now.
What are we doing, Dutch?
All right, stealthing.
If you want.
I'm stealthing.
Just make the call. If you want to take the lead, go.
All right, we're gonna take the lead.
I'll go first.
Wait, what am I going first at, actually? Okay, so I'm supposed to be stealthy. So I'm gonna be sneaking around, chat, alright? So I'm just gonna sneak around back here. It's fine, chat. It's fine. Look how stealthy I am, chat. So stealth. Never mind, apparently it doesn't work like that. I got this time. I got this. I didn't get it. I don't understand, actually, chat. I honestly don't understand. Where's the stealth? I didn't use my brain, apparently, chat. I still didn't understand. All right. What do you mean I sneak up behind people and kill people? I'm just gonna shoot. I got a gun. How do guns sneak? You can't sneak with a gun, chat. You can't sneak with a gun. Oh, God. God, okay, where is he? I can't see. Can somebody make it nighttime, please? Oh. There's somebody out here. I got this, chat. Wait. Oh, I'm out of it. Hey, it's a good thing I'm pretty. The knife. Oh, well, I mean... But I'm drunk right now, chat. I can't see anything, so it's gonna wait out here for a while I stay drunk. I can't get off this wall. All right, come on. We got this. It's fine. I got this, chat. I got this, chat. I got this. Got one. Got two. Damn it! All right. This time.
What are we doing, Dutch? I can take this if you want.
This time. You ready? Here we go. Understand? I'm gonna take the lead.
Okay, I'll go first.
Are you ready? There we go, chat. Oh wait, I think we got it. We got this gun. Here we go. There we go. Come on. No, there he is. Stop moving. All right. Where we at? Got him. Got him. Got him. And got him. And come on, baby girl. Come on, baby girl. There it is. Shove him the dick. He ain't need no penis. No. It's fine. I've decided to shoot him only in the head. There it is. Alright, way to go. No. Come here, baby girl. Come here, baby girl. What are you so scared about? Come on out. There you are. Good girl. Oh, you tried so hard, didn't you? Ah.
You recognize any of them, Dutch? Of course not.
Oh.
Colm doesn't give a damn about his men.
Fine, chat. I'll play better next time, okay? I'll play better. I'll stop being so goofy, but it was a lot of fun. Oh. Hey, yo. Oh my God, chat. We just took a wedding ring off that man. That man had a wife. Or a husband. I ain't judging. No. You want to chat? He killed somebody. D. Why are you pressing D to doubt? Why are you doubting me? Ah, shit. Here comes all them bastards. 1 second, chat. We're going to swap over to this one. Reload it. Oh. Where are they? Which trees? Oh, them trees. Shit, it's nighttime, chat. Where we at, girl? That's a good man. Come on. Advance. Oh, there he is. Come on, baby. Swapping over here. Stop running, baby. Stick your head out. Oh, I can't shoot through that tree. Got him. Got him. Swap to the pistol. Oh, 2-for-1 special. Thank you. Where are they going? Stop running. I know that tree's immortal. There we go. 3. Easy. Che just gotta be a better shot than them. That's all it is. That's all it is. But how's everybody doing? Let me just check in on everybody. Let's take a quick little check in. Everybody still good? Everybody still having fun? No? Yeah. I'm doing bad. There's glue in your hair. How is there glue in your hair?
We're waiting on you, Arthur.
Why are you on the floor? Come on, get up on. Get on up.
Good work, boys. Now,
Get off the ground. What do you mean we tear this place apart?
You go search that wagon there.
I got this, chat.
Search that building.
Oh, I didn't do anything.
All right, man, quick.
What
Find
about-
those
what about-
detonators, explosives, anything you can. Let's go.
Apparently we're doing something. Yeah. Explosives? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Here.
Does Gene have the best shot? Too early to tell. I do have the best shot.
Bill?
Looks fine.
Oh. Do you have a horsey, Gene? I do have a horsey. Don't kill my horse.
Did we get everything?
Please don't kill my horse.
So, boss.
Please don't kill my horse.
On one of them.
Thank you.
This is perfect.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. This is something about the train they was gonna rob.
Oh, what can we make him?
Leviticus
Don't
Cornwall.
hurt my horse, Chad. Don't hurt my horse, please.
keep moving.
Please, I ask only one thing of you. Please don't hurt my horse.
Let's get out of here. Proud of you boys.
You can hurt their horses. My horse is special. This ain't my horse. Oh, this is my horse. We right.
Good work, fellas.
Not bad for some starving down and outs.
Oh yeah, no, they got balls, Chad. They got balls. You can see the ball. The balls shrink in the cold, Chat.
Outlaws for life, fellas. Wait until
Somebody
we have John,
animated.
Mac, Charles, and Sean back
Thank you for the
riding
clothes.
truck, and I believe, I know, they will all be
I'm
back.
gonna get more horses, Chat.
Well, you didn't get Combe, but this hit'll hurt him a lot more than any bullet in the head.
Especially when we rob this train, too.
Oh my God! Wait! We got the beard hat, Chat. We got the beard hat. The hat that makes your beard grow.
Indeed, we will.
Hose never get cold. Why'd you?
He'll come after us.
Y'all have lowered.
Just like all the rest. We're gonna stay a step ahead of them. Make sure we always know where they are before they know where we are. We allowed
God, I love how realistic this game is, Chat.
Blackwater. That won't happen again.
I love how realistic this game is, Chat. That's great. Yeah, I like this hat. I think it. No, go. What's happening? No, hey. Oh, there we are. You trying to piss off my horse? Wait for the beat drop.
Dig in, fellas. Let's make some
Thank you for the heal. I appreciate it. What are we doing? Dig in, fellas. Let's make some what? Oh. Chat, I think the funniest thing is you keep spawning random women.
Hey, you see that fella? What's he?
Oh, shit. She's dead.
Leave him to me.
All right, we're heading back.
Start digging in your butt, twin.
He could be useful.
Okay, you got it.
Don't run over! Everybody stop running over the poor woman! Hey, yo. Oh, shit. Chad, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
Now, come on.
All right, Chad, we got this. All right. Oh, easy. And... Oh, wait, keep this held. And dismount. Why are you spawning on the crowd? Ain't nobody need to watch this.
Come in with me.
I ain't got no brains in my head, Chad. I'm sorry.
Don't hurt me.
Hey, Mitchie, no, Mitchie. All right, we'll try this again.
Oh God, no. Please.
All right, pick him up.
You don't need to do this.
You bastard. You had one thing that you needed to not do. I needed to keep him alive. Why would you kill him? Why would you why? All right. We're hunting him down again. We're going to tie him up.
Leave him to me.
All right, here we go. So mean. Come on, girly. Natural causes. Yeah, natural. He died from old age. He had a heart attack and died. He had a stroke. There we are. All right. Hog tie.
With me.
Got him.
I'm nobody, mister.
Don't rag about. Stop it. What do you mean free? Hey. I need it. Come on. Okay, there we go.
Please, you don't need to do this.
What? No! Horse, save me! Damn it. All right. All right.
You got me mixed up with someone else.
Got this. I got this. I got this. Okay, pick him up. Pick him up, chat. We got it. We can pick him up. Okay. Just don't kill him. Just don't kill him.
Let me go. Come on.
Stow him. And don't eat the horse either. I got a new hat. I lost my hat and I got a new one. All right.
What's your name, boy?
I don't know.
All right.
You don't know your name?
It's Kieran.
Kieran what?
Duffy. Kieran Duffy.
Well,
Oh.
I ain't gonna lie to you. This is a real
Just take my gun.
bad day for you, Kieran Duffy.
Where are you taking me?
Somewhere you ain't gonna like.
Why? What are you gonna do to
Oh,
me?
shit, I'm going the wrong way to it.
Something you ain't gonna like. So I'd advise you to save your breath for screaming.
No, please.
And we're drunk. Oh, God. I got this, chat. It's fine. It's fine. I can see. I can see. Oh, shit. I missed it.
Please, mister.
We're just going to follow. We're just going to follow the trail here. It's going to... Oh, God. Where am I? Bird.
Don't do this, please.
You better shut your mouth, you little shit, or I will shoot
Sorry.
for you.
It's fine. Boy. Boy, you better save your voice for screaming.
Oh, I think I'm gonna puke. Oh, God, please, no. They don't tell me nothing. I swear.
You?
That's what he said. He said you better save your voice for screaming.
Because I will break every bone in your body.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Not one more goddamn word. Am I clear?
Oh, bird,
Okay,
bird,
okay.
bird. Oh, bird go.
2 bones right there.
Bird gone. I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool. Why do I think you're not cool? Hey, for the ammo. Mwah. Appreciate you, Ocean. Ocean, you're the best. Why are you so kind, Ocean? Ocean, you're amazing. I hope you know that, Ocean. I really appreciate you. Even when you occasionally bully me. I think it's funny that y'all have spawned so much random people that you've repopulated these mountains. Y'all see how many random people out here now? What is going on with that horse? Oh, it's normal. All right.
Here we are, you sack of shit.
There you go. Oh, there it is.
You to the boys.
A fucking horse face plant. What do you do? You killed all nearby NPCs. Why? Why? It was so close. You waited until the end. We were 3 seconds away from a chat. We would have finished. Just everyone dead. Everyone dead. Everyone.
Leave him to me.
Not again, no, you bastard! That was literally the last second. You killed the check. No. Oh my God, that was devious. That was devious. You waited until it was over. Oh.
Not so fast.
All right.
What the hell's wrong with you? Don't hurt me.
Come on, baby. Come. All right. All right. All right. Get on up. Get on up. Get on up. Get on up. Sorry, I gotta throw the lasso. Thank you. All right. Let me. Y'all, I'm about to increase the price on this thing.
Leave him to me.
Luckily, if you all do this for long enough, it doubles in price every time you do it. All right, this time. You know what? This time it's my turn. If anyone's gonna kill the boy, it's me. He ain't dying. All right. Oh shit! I got. Oh wait, 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 wait. Oh fuck! Let me up! Let me up! Let me up! Stand! All right. I got this. Hog time. Let me tie him up.
Coming with me.
Come
All right.
on, I'm nobody, mister.
All right. Pick him up. Pick him up. Pick him up.
Oh, God, no.
All right. All right. Come on, baby boy. Get on the back of my horse. Stay alive this time. Don't die.
You got me mixed
Don't
up
die
with
or I
someone
will
else.
kill you.
What's your name, boy?
I don't know.
You don't know your name?
It's Kieran.
Kieran what?
Duffy. Kieran Duffy.
One chance. That's all I ask for. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. This is a real bad day for you, Kieran Duffy.
Where are you taking me?
Don't worry about it.
Somewhere you ain't gonna like.
What? What are you gonna do to me?
Oh, you want me? Did y'all take all my guns? No, you're good.
So I'd advise you.
And we're drunk
save your
again.
breath for screaming.
Chat, I'll see what I can do. Come on, we got this. Tie chat up.
You.
Honestly, it might keep him alive, so that might be what we need to do, chat. I might need to tie you all up.
Please, mister.
You better shut your mouth. You
Can't do
little
what?
shit, or
What can I
will straight
do?
for you.
Keep you all hog-tied in my basement so I can get this done properly.
Just let me go, please.
Fine, Irene. I won't hog-tie you.
Do anything. Oh, I think I'm gonna puke.
Are you trying to test me? Is that it? Because I will break every bone in your body.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There
Okay.
can be.
Not one more goddamn
All right.
word.
All right. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this.
That's 2 bones.
Come
right
on.
there.
All right. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Fine, you ain't allowed to go anywhere. Remember
Here
that.
we are. You said
What the fuck? All right.
Don't hurt me, please.
Shit.
Oh,
Come,
don't
come on,
worry.
come on, 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 come on. Get out here.
Found a little
Hurry
shit,
up.
did you?
Pick him off my shoulders.
I got him.
Very good. Welcome to your new home.
Come on.
Hope you're real happy here.
You want me to make him talk?
Oh, no, now all we'll get is lies. Uncle, Mr. Williamson, tie this maggot up someplace safe. We get him hungry first. I got a saying, my friend. Who shoot fellas as need shooting, save fellas as need saving, and feed 'em as need feeding. We are gonna find out what you need. I can't believe it! An O'Driscoll in my camp!
I ain't an O'Driscoll, mister. I hate that fella.
Oh, whatever you say, son. Well done, Arthur.
I'm just sorry we missed out on Colm.
Oh, there's time enough for that.
All right, chat. I'm going to take a 5-minute break here so I can stretch my legs because my legs are so stiff right now that they're hurting. They're hurting a lot. So, we're going to take a little break here. Come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll finish off the last 30 minutes of the stream, all right? Thank you for the hydrate. Oh, and thank you for the launch player. I don't know. I hope he launches. All right. I think he didn't launch. Nah. All right, lovelies. We're going to take a quick little 5-minute. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Boop, boop, boop. You ready? Be right back. Vanya, you ain't going nowhere. Where do you think you're going? Where the hell do you think you're going, Vanya? You can try all you want, but you ain't escaping here. Come back here. I'm gonna drag you by a little raccoon tail. Nice. Now, Vanya. You still there? I see you. Back in it. Let's go. You can't scatter chat. How you doing? Did you miss me? I missed you. All right. I'm sorry, Moxie. Are you doing okay? Y'all need to stop spawning random people, though, because it's so fucking weird. Here we go. We got a normal outfit this time. Do we have a beard? And we have a beard, chat! Oh, Allie. I know I missed you, baby girl. Just messing with you. Oh.
Starved to death up here, Mr.
I missed you too, Moxie. I missed you too.
We're okay. We have a few cans of food and
Oh,
a wrap.
Lieber.
For what? 10, 12
Lieber
people?
Mitchie. Was ist los jetzt?
I do not wish to hear about what you
Magst du mich nicht? Komm her.
We were stranded at sea 50 days. And you unfortunately survived. When we ran away from Blackwater, I wasn't able to get supplies in.
Na,
Government agents are hunting you down.
warum willst du nicht Deutsch vergessen?
Trips need to be cut short. We'll survive. We always
Ich
have.
mag das, deutsche
If
Sprache.
needs be, we can eat you.
Bitte.
I sent Lenny and Bill hunting and they
Na,
found nothing.
komm her
More
jetzt.
into book learning than hunting.
Komm her.
Bill's a fool.
Mwah.
Unless those mountains are full of game that want to read, ain't no wonder they found enough of this.
We'll go find something. Come on, Arthur.
You don't know how hard it is for me to do German and a southern accent, chat. That was difficult, and I barely managed that.
You're gonna need something to eat out there. Sorted, salted off. Starving will be preferable.
It's actually called offal,
You
chat.
can't go hunting. Look at your hand.
I can't stay here listening to you two. Look, if there's game in those hills, I'll find it. And you can kill it.
You need to rest, Charles.
You think this is rest?
Man's gonna die. Poor man. All right, chat. So 2 planned redeems, all right? We'll do the Leo horrible German accent, and the other one will be speaking exclusively German as best I can for 5 minutes.
Use a gun, and we'll scare off every animal for miles around. You're never too old to learn, I imagine.
All right, chat? How does that sound?
Come on.
We'll have a German redeem where I try to speak my awful German for 5 minutes, and we'll have Leo, which will be my horrible fake German accent for 5 minutes. All right? Yeah, I think that's a good idea, right? Lizard, 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 lizard,
It'll be
lizard.
fine in a day or two. I just can't pull a bow right now.
Oh,
What are you doing?
Yunky.
Never really got the hang.
You're such a bad boy, aren't you? Such a bad boy. Lizard.
So,
Lizard. Oh, no, close.
we're gonna find some
Lizard.
kill. It ain't no
Lizard. Lizard.
There's meat up there,
Lizard.
sure.
Lizard.
doesn't know what he's talking about. Now the weather's eased off a bit, they'll be needing to feed. We'll head up this way, find some higher ground.
Wirklich? Machst du das, ist Deutsch sprechen? Ja, ich kann das machen.
Getting stuck in the storm.
Maybe.
John, that
Vielleicht.
thing with the O'Driscolls.
You've had a
Oh,
long
Mitchie.
one on you.
Komm her, Mitchie.
I
Kommt
wish
hier
I could have
jetzt.
done more.
Was brauchst du von mich,
Like
Mitchie?
that, just like
Kann
to
ich
think
ein
back on.
bisschen mehr machen für
Still don't
dich?
really know what happened on that boat.
Me neither.
Needs a stinky doggy. I am not. I am a good smelling, not a dog. I almost called myself a dog. German doesn't sound aggressive. What do you mean? No. Here, let's do this. Lynn, meine Liebe. Warum bist du so? Was kann ich für dich machen, mein lieber Lynn? See, that ain't aggressive. That ain't aggressive at all. German is a lovely, pretty language. You just don't hear what my hat changed. My hat looks so stupid, chat. Why is my hat so stupid?
There's some patches of
German can be however you want it, sweetie.
This is good. Let's look down this way.
What the fuck? Where'd she come from? She gone.
The wind's died down too. That's good. No wind at all is bad, but if it's too strong,
All right, chat. I forgot about that. We're gonna start doing some Spanish learning streams. I might see if I can get myself either a Spanish tutor or maybe get some Spanish books, and we're gonna start trying to learn some Spanish. What do y'all think?
Hey, stop here a second. I see something.
Ah.
Oh, watch it.
¿Pero qué? Maybe. I'm not learning Italian. I think if I could learn Spanish and Italian.
There's deer been here. Recently.
There's been deer. God, his head. He looks so stupid.
Not. We'll track them on foot.
They are very,
You're gonna
very
need
similar.
a bow. Don't leave it on your horse. The gun will scare everything around.
Oh no, Chad, we're gonna scare them. Where in the world is my bow? There it is. Did I get it?
Come on.
There it
Grab
is.
that bow off the horse.
¿Por qué no
Keep
quiero
down. Move
ver?
quietly and
¿Por
slowly.
qué no quiero? Yo quiero paz. Yo quiero paz.
You see the
Ay,
tracks?
aquí.
I think so. Maybe not.
Focus.
¿Por qué no? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Come on. I'm German, remember? You from... Oh, Mr. Jack! I remember you, Mr. Jake.
Let's keep moving.
Oh, sorry, Caps. Now we got to do this. We're going to be tracking some tracks here. Let's go. Focus on it.
They'll hear you coming a mile off. It's easier in the snow, but once you get your eye, you'll be able to track nearly as well in grass and woods.
Mm-hmm. All right, chat. We're tracking the animals. Wait, how did I do that? Chat, how did I track again? Chat, y'all saw that controller, right? Was it Q? Was it caps lock? Oh no, it was behind me, wasn't it?
Stay crouched.
Hello, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, we're just gonna follow the... Oh, there it is. Thank you for the fancy hat. Oh. Oh, come cuddle me then. I am sweltering, chat. I'm a bit heated. Y'all don't know how warm it is up in here. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're having a lovely evening. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it looks pretty.
Wait, look. There they are.
All right, chat.
Quick.
There they
Get
are.
that bow out, Arthur. Aim for
Draw
the
that.
head or neck. We want a good, clean kill. Get
Come
good
on.
attention to the string before releasing. Just don't overdo it. Now, Arthur.
Wait for the stamina to build back up. Oh shit, 1 second. Who's leaving? Alright, bye Snowfang, I'll miss you. Nailed him.
Try for another.
Alright, we're gonna eat a little snackies here. Yummy, yummy, yummy canned peaches. Okay. I do think it's funny that we do litter so much. Thank you for the full stamina. I appreciate that one a lot. That one helps out so much. You don't even know how much that helped me. I appreciate it. How can we persuade Gene? Persuade Gene to do what? What are we trying to persuade Gene to do? Yeah, no, put the fan off. Turn that fan off. Shit.
Better go put it out of its misery.
Shit.
This might be our only chance for a good move.
Fuck. Stop getting wounded. Oh. Why are you ragdolling me? Mitchie. Give me a reason. Give me a reason to contest. What are you trying to... What, I guess I need to avenge myself, don't I? All right, there's the blood. Oh, got him.
Well, it's dead now.
Nice. Got it. No. We're gonna find a way to make it fair this time. Because when you were on the defensive side, I couldn't get to you, and that weren't no fair. That weren't fun at all. I couldn't get to you because you're just like sitting back there, hiding behind your team, which I know is tactical. Ooh, what clothes we got now? Which is tactical, you know, but you know. Moxie, you need more iron. Make sure you get some iron supplements, or lick a penny or something. I don't know. Do something. No. All right. Nah, we'll switch sides and you'll see how easy I'll beat you. You'll see how easy I'll beat you the second we switch sides. Don't lick a penny. Pennies ain't got iron in them. Don't lick a penny. Pennies that don't have iron in them. It won't help you. It was mostly a joke. Oh, thank you for the stamina, Phil. I appreciate it. You look at me. I ain't got no iron in me either.
Okay, boy. Let's go.
Come on, baby boy. Let's go, baby boy. Let's go. All right, another bet.
Ready to head back when you are.
I taste like pennies. I do not taste like pennies. Don't drink blood. Blood. You must bounce on it. Crazy style.
Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days.
You found him.
I knew you'd be okay with that bow.
It's the baby. I'm trying to doodle.
We've seen enough of that.
Don't bite my bottom lip.
How things were looking a couple of days back.
I bite my own bottom lip, but I need to.
Maybe our luck is finally on the
Crazy.
turn.
Weird.
Seems to me we should be putting our effort into getting off this mountain now.
We got meat yet.
People are still weak, and well, you've seen how snowed in those wagons are.
Why am I getting off the horse? Hey.
Anyway, what were you talking about?
They ain't going nowhere until we get some more thaw.
You're probably right.
Chat, we should have a death counter. Chat, we should have a death counter.
Want that? Still have a big price on our heads.
This is a big country. We'll find somewhere to lie low. Dutch and Jose will have a plan.
Where you going? Nothing will happen if you overdose on vitamin B12. You'll piss it out. Vitamin B12 is one of those that will sit in your urine, so you're fine. I think something close.
Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for
Just also like, you know, don't maybe. Don't take too much vitamin B12.
You're a good shot.
It's easier when
Enough of anything can make you sick. Be careful with yourself, right?
We've seen enough of that.
Oh, chat, you want to know the one side effect of me doing the Southern voice all the time has been? When I get calls from people that are in the South, I imitate the accent. Why do you need to be awake? Go to bed.
People are still weak, and well, you've seen how snowed in those wagons are. They ain't going nowhere until we get some more thaw.
You're probably right. And even if we do get off here, what then? Still
Even if we do get off here.
This is a big country. We'll find somewhere to lie low.
What do you gotta do, Moss? What do you gotta do? It's late. Go bed. Go bed, Moss. Eat. Get yourself some sleep. The deer was spoiled. The deer was spoiled? The deer was spoiled. I can't. I got paid money. I got paid money to do the southern accent, so I cannot do British, unfortunately. All right. Retry checkpoint. Let's go again.
Come on then. Let's head back.
Come on, come on. Let's see if we can make it this time.
Nice work, Arthur. Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days.
You found him.
Hoped you'd use the bow, but you're a good shot.
It's easier when they ain't shooting back.
We've seen enough.
Thank you for the random clothes. I appreciate it. I love. Oh fucking hell! Charles Horse died. God damn it, Jet. All right, I have an idea. Well, I'm gonna put cooldowns on them globally.
Come on then. Let's head back.
Why 360? Why 360 like that?
Nice work, Arthur. Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days. Let's go, before any more bad weather comes in.
Chat, he's just walking.
You found him.
Chat, he's just walking. No.
You're a good shot.
No, chat, he's just walking.
Shooting back.
We've seen enough of that.
Considering how pleased we're looking a couple of days back,
Damn it.
well, maybe our luck's finally on the turn.
I ain't resetting, chat.
We should be putting
I ain't
our
resetting.
effort into getting off this mountain now.
I can't kill him.
People are still weak.
I ain't resetting. I ain't got no explosives. This is my life now, chat.
They ain't going nowhere until we get some more thaw.
You're probably right. And even if we do get off here, what then? We still have a big price on our...
It's a big country. We'll find somewhere to lie low. Dutch and Jose...
I won't let me lasso him. Let me lasso him. I can hope he gets eaten by a big cat. What if I run into him?
Pearson's had a bottle in his hand ever since we fled Blackwater. We give the camp cook 5 minutes to grab the essentials and go, and he doesn't even bring a crumb of food.
Good that we caught more than one. We've only been up
No.
here a few days and have already picked up 2 more mountains.
All we got is the one, man, because you left yours behind. I just got the one.
Damn thing. Except maybe that can of salted off from Pearson was kind of
Come on.
give us.
Come on.
She has a wild look in her eye.
Oh, God, this is awful. Carlist, hi, Carlist. You are so very, very lovely. I hope you know that. You're kind, you're adorable, you're sweet, you're just such a great viewer. I really do appreciate you. You got some talent, especially even in writing. I hope everything that you've been doing today has been going really, really well, because you got this, all right? You're doing amazing. You're doing great. Mwah. You are so fantastic. Don't you ever think differently, all right, sweetie? I'm glad you're in my life. I really am happy to have you here. I appreciate you.
Careful.
You ain't dealt with them? I suppose. Hell, we ain't
I'm making so much
run into
routine.
them much the last 6 months.
Why do you want me to have soaking wet socks?
Because they've been over this way.
Yeah.
God damn it, chat.
Talk about 'em.
Well,
God damn it, chat. This is my experience
we've been
now.
scrapping over scores with them for years. Big gang. Nasty sons of bitches. Their leader, Home, and Dutch go way back. And not in a good way.
I liked it.
Proper
I did.
blood feud.
I think he did good.
So I heard. Hey, we're gonna need those bullets.
Damn. Hey, Mr. Jack. Come on. I didn't know why you gotta wish that upon me. Chat, this is insane. Chat, this is insane. Where are we even going? Where are we going? You know what? I'm leaving him behind. If he ain't catch up, that's on him. Nah, you did good. You did good. Don't be insecure. I'm glad he wrote it. God, where he going? Why the fuck is that air balloon? Charles was attacked by an air balloon. Warum? Was willst du sagen? Komm her, Mr. Jack. Was brauchst du jetzt? Oder soll ich mit Mitchie gehen? Mitchie, lieber. Wo bist du? Alright, I'm back at this again. Vanya, don't be gone, Vanya. Meow. Givig. Yeah, no, he got it. No, the problem is he got attacked by an air balloon, and the air balloon attacked him, and so he panicked.
Come on, let's head back.
Chad, I'm tired. Don't you worry about me. Not even did the clothes still change? Yeah, okay. The clothes didn't change, right?
Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days.
Thank you, Lonely Wolf. How you doing? Not again! Why are you sad? Why are you sad? Oh no, it's ass time again, chat. All right, here we go.
Come on then, let's head back.
All right. Come on, come on, come on,
Nice
come on.
work, Arthur. Should be enough meat here to keep us all fed for a few days.
You found him.
Hope you use the bow, but you're a good shot.
It's easier when they ain't shooting.
Oh, Vanyers, come here, sweetie. It's all right.
Things were looking a couple of days back.
All right, how far away are we? You're kidding, chat. Oh my God, we were gonna have to walk that whole distance.
Maybe our luck's finally on the turn.
Seems to me we should be putting our effort into getting off this mountain now.
Soon. People are still weak, and you've seen how snowed in those wagons are. They ain't going nowhere until we get some more thaw.
You're probably right. And even if we do get off here, what then? We'll still have a big price on our heads.
This is a big country. We'll find somewhere to lie low.
There we go.
Jose will have a plan.
That should do it. No, I would never do
Notice
that.
how Pearson's had a bottle in his hand ever since we fled Blackwater? We give the camp cook 5 minutes to grab the essentials and go, and he doesn't even bring a...
Why is the hot air balloon still there? Why is the hot air balloon still there?
Mouths to feed.
One more. We ain't feeding the O'Driscoll a damn thing. Except maybe that can of salted offal Pearson was kind enough to give us.
The girl. She has a wild look in her eye.
Of course. She lost her husband, her home, everything she had.
So what do we do with her?
Well, once we get out of here and we're back on our feet, we'll see. She might have...
1 second, chat. All right, we're back.
family somewhere.
Who knows? Maybe she'll deal with the O'Driscoll for us.
Well, I know who my money's on in that fight. He's weak, but that makes him much more useful. Maybe we can get to them before they get to us.
What is it with the O'Driscolls?
I'm sorry, Vanya. I'll give you a refund, I promise. Mwah. Love you, Vanias. Love you.
6 months. I guess because they've been over this way.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of talk about them.
Hopefully this time we'll actually make it.
We've been scrapping over scores with them for years.
Watch out. Bear up ahead. Let's see if we can find another way around.
Oh, I want to fight the bear.
You must be real hungry. Stay well back. Spring storms like this are the worst for animals that sleep all winter.
One sec, check. I gotta pull up my contacts. There we go. Okay, we're good to go. Why do I got a stupid hat again? I am going blind, chat. I need to pull my contacts out after this. I only adjusted them a bit.
Cut up here, off the trail.
I'd be an awful lawyer. Awful, 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 awful. Where we going? Yeah, we getting a vision debuff right now, chat. Oh, chat. It's 7:10. You know what that means, chat? You know what that means, chat? It is time to come to an end of stream. I went a whole extra hour. And not only did I go a whole extra hour, sweeties, I added an extra 10 minutes. So you know what that means, chat? It is time for us to find someone to raid out to. Hope you all had a lovely, 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 lovely time. I'm afraid of no ghost. Oh, what's going on over here? Is this good or bad? Alright, chat. We can raid into, let's see, we got Boom, Cottontail, Plot Twist, Leo, Shrimps. We're going to raid into Cheese A, chat. This was a lot of fun, chat. This was a lot of fun, chat. I had so much time. Raid Cotton? You want me to try to raid Cotton? You want me to try to raid Cotton, chat? Alright, Aura, make me a raid message and I'll raid Cotton. I'll raid Cottontail right now if you give me a raid message. But y'all have a lovely night. I really, really, really appreciate you. It has been fantastic. It's been so much fun. And you know what we're doing tomorrow, chat? You know what we're doing tomorrow, chat? We're doing Sons of the Forest. We're doing Sons of the Forest with more viewer interactions. We're going to see how that goes. Sons of the Forest with more crowd control. Oh my god. Not dog raid. Fine, we'll do a dog raid. Ugh, god, I'm not a dog. Chat, copy the dog raid message. I'll see you all next time. Let's see if I can go raid Cottontail. Let's see if I can even raid Cottontail, right? Alright, chat. All 23 of you. You ready? Ready to go say hi? Bye, lovelies!